And welcome back to another episode of Ministry of Truth. I'm your only host on this show, and well, gonna continue where I left off yesterday, plus some additional stuff that I found last night and this morning because, well, I'm always looking, I'm always watching, and I'm always absorbing information, and then I'm here to share it with you. But before we start anything, we obviously know, hey, this is the beginning. Everybody that hasn't gotten their coffee, everybody needs to get their coffee and or use the bathroom. Cold brew, energy drink, bagel, whatever it is you guys do first thing in the morning. So without further ado, let's go get our food and our coffee, and I'll see you in a minute.
Yo, you know every time you come home, you got the merch something.
Stop! It's the motherfucking remix!
Yeah, Harlem and TS. Who in the world want a problem with that? Come on, real. I heard Harlem is back. You know we had to do Who in the world want a problem with that? Yeah, Harlem and TS. Who in the world want a problem with that? Come on, real. I heard Harlem is back. You know we had to do Who in the world want a problem with that?
I said my niggas don't dance, we just pull up a pants and do the rock away. Now lean back, lean back, lean back. Lean back, come on. I said my niggas don't dance, we just pull up our pants and do the rock away. Now lean back, lean back, lean back.
Yo,
lean back, come on.
You know it's deja vu, and the day y'all do, it'll be the day y'all bleed. Rich minus 80 degrees, king of Harlem, ain't nobody made me leave. Who else could take 5 years off? Cold turkey, come back and fly lids off. Catch front, leave them leaning like Smirnoff. If haters wanna hate, then it's their loss. Come up in the rucker with all my jigs on. Car grill so big you can cook a steak on. People hear Mace gone, wanna get their Mace on. You a hot 16, I'm a very great song. They beating on the DJ before the Mace song. You play Clark Kent, you better have your cape on. Plenty goons, mansion, mini room, my necklace, 2 X's and 3 Benny Booms. Lean back, and lean back, cause he's back, come on. Lean back, lean back, cause he's back, come on.
You don't want no problems with Harlem. You don't want no problems with the boogie down Bronxter. You don't want no drama with the blonde bomber, original Don Dada.
All right. So let's get started, obviously, with some more of my clips from, not my clips. Yes, I have a few from TikTok and a few from Instagram. X. So we're going to go through those first, and it's going to be interesting because we have thoughts from Asians, Hispanics, and this one is really interesting. So now people are always talking about, these protesters are paid. They're paid. All these people are investing and sending money to these protests, like, I don't know, Walmart. But what happens if, somebody says, you know what? They offered me money, but I didn't take it. Did you or did you not? But New York City, on the 14th of June, they're paying protesters. That's definitely not the video. This is the video.
$100 a day to go protest ICE in New York. The organization was called No Kings. They said June 14th we're going to be protesting, and these are the streets that you need to be on, and this is what you need to do. You need to cause chaotic disruptions, and they said that there's going to be pallets of like bricks and different things everywhere that protesters could use. They really want to wreak havoc. It's kind of ridiculous. Me as an American, although I need the money, I'm like, this is very, very unpatriotic. If I was to go take this money and go protest, it's not very American. It's not what I stand for. It's obviously not even, worth the time.
And they're advertising already.
$200 a day is what they're paying people to go protest. The corruption is up here because it goes way beyond these organizations. They want to destroy America, and people like me that need money are gonna go do it. I'm not gonna go do it, but people are gonna go do it. They're gonna go destroy, the city and cause chaos. it's just crazy
For
that, they're
$200.
even paying people to go do this. It just goes to show that everything we deal with is corruption, and these people at the top level, like, who's paying for this? There's got to be some billionaires
Oh, we'll talk
paying
about that
for
later.
this so that, they could try to get Trump out or something. But, $200 a day to go cause chaos is, like, crazy. Not worth it, but also, like, really fucked up. I just got offered $200 a day.
Funny story. Back when the first George Floyd riot started, uh, I got an email from a company in Atlanta offering $500 a day plus hotels and food and ammunition. All you had to do was be prior military and have a concealed carry permit. Glad I didn't take that. Probably should have, but then I don't know which side they would have had me on. So, little interesting fact. Now we're going to head from a guy who needs money because of paid protesters to a guy who's of Asian descent and who has basically been saying the exact same shit I have been about coming here the legal way. Huh. Uh. Huh.
I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. But it's like I've been seeing so many people asking Asian creators to speak up about the whole uh riots in LA and all these deportation things. This is something that a lot of people don't understand. Asian people, we support the country. We support the betterment of the country. We support that. So what is there to say? What is there to say? We support the deportations of illegals. It is honestly tiring because here's the thing: we want the country to be better. We want the country to be better.
This dude almost looked
We
like
want
my
the country
brother.
to if you did it legally, if you stand in line, if you paid the price, right? You paid the money and all that. You did all the process, the paperwork, all the stuff, which usually most Asian people do. Why would we care about someone jumping in line, crossing the border, and all this stuff? Why should we, you know, be happy about that? We're not really. This is the thing where we're not really dependent. Asian people aren't really dependent on uh you know migrant labor, right? Not like other people. We're not really dependent on migrant labor. So we're not gonna cry that the U.S. is pretty much backing what they promised. The U.S. promised, or this
Donald Trump.
presidency promised, that they would deport illegal immigrants. They're doing that. Why are you crying? Why are you crying about it? This is the thing where,
Cover your
you
mouth.
see it like these immigrants are waving the flags of other countries, burning down the flag of the U.S., and then you think Asian people want to support that? No, they want to stay away from that. They don't want to be grouped in with these people.
You don't
That's the
say.
thing. Asian people want to, focus on themselves and their community and their country. They don't want to be grouped in with these people. So really, stop asking Asian influencers to speak up about it, because you won't like what they say. You won't like what they say. So really, it's better off that they do the content that they're doing instead of, say things you don't like. Because here's the thing: Asian people don't want to focus on the negativity and, you know, say what they're really thinking. Deport, right? Deport illegal immigrants. They are fine with it. I'll say this, right? I'm a nobody.
Hmm.
I'm a nobody. But it's like,
Hmm.
I've been.
Almost as if that's how normal, everyday Americans feel. But when it comes to being the model minority, people ignore. Like he said, he's a nobody. I'm a nobody. Nobody pays attention to what the Asian influencers say, unless they're the ones that are out there. Oh my God, they're taking away my families. They're my neighbors. Nobody in your family's being affected by this, unless you're an illegal Chinese citizen. Then I could totally see that. Yes, yes, they are. And the funny thing about guerrilla warfare, for the past 20 years, well, more 20 years plus, that's what we were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan. If it wasn't air strikes, a lot of it was guerrilla warfare. Now let's go to a Mexican guy and what his thoughts are on these protests.
Out to all you pendejos and tontas over there in LA putting your hands on federal agents, possibly catching a felony case. You know what that does? That's making America great again. You want to know why? Because that's going to limit your ability in regards to your Second Amendment. Oh, and you know what else? That's going to limit your ability to fuck up this country even more and vote for another Democrat. You want to know why? Because you got a fucking felony. But you know who don't care about you doing the tontera shit you're doing over there in LA? With these ICE agents? The fucking Democrat Party don't give a shit that you're doing that. They don't care if you catch a case. They don't care if you go to jail. They don't give a damn about you. When the fuck are you pendejos gonna wake up? When are you gonna wake up? And furthermore, just to further let you guys know, put some salt on the fucking
we'll talk about
a lot of these immigrants that come here from Venezuela, El Salvador, they don't give a shit about you either. So what are you doing, babosos? Hey, I want to give a big shout out.
See? So the minority communities, they seem to not be behind these protesters. And a lot of these protesters, which we'll show later, are either white. Rarely ever see a black one because we've been talking about them for, I think, yesterday. And one thing I noticed is they were talking about, are your family immigrants? Well, yeah. Well, where are you? Well, no, I've been here for a while. Well, how old were you when you came here? And you notice a lot of them say around 5 to 7 years old. 5 to 7. A lot of them say that. Seems like a made-up number. Almost like 6 million. If you know, you know. Speaking of white protesters, let's look at these on the streets of, I believe this is, shit, I don't remember where in California this is. But pay attention to what these guys are doing and how it's helping. It's helping these protests. Hey, Batmom.
I gotta ask, what's the point of doing that at this point? Like, what's the point of tagging? I'm just asking.
How about you go fuck yourself?
No, I wanted to know because, you know, Old Vera Street.
You're on the press.
No. I'm asking. I'm not here to.
What network are you with, bud?
I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to ask. What's the point of it? I'm literally not here to judge you.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on.
Get them the fuck out of our city. If they don't fucking stop, we're gonna continue. We'll burn it all down.
I know, but vandalism, what does it do?
We burn it all down. You don't understand?
You know, for a group of people that want to dox ICE officers, DHS, the police, they want them to remove their face coverings, which they're actually doing a job. They're protecting the United States. If you're protesting, you know, as some great revolutionary, wouldn't you want people to know who you are? Did Alexander Hamilton cover his face? Did he? Did Martin Luther King Jr. cover his face? Did Malcolm X cover his face? No.
I'm stupid.
No, I'm not trying to be stupid.
You are.
Well, how come they're destroying the Mexican properties? The Mexican
property, bro.
Across the way at Old Vera Street.
I didn't do that. This is their property.
Well, you should tell people to stop destroying.
I never touched a small business ever.
Okay.
Never. Only government property. Thank you, sir.
Got you. Fair enough. I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm trying to ask. I'm like, what is the point of this? Burn it all down. I mean, that's a crime. If you burn it all down, you're going to go to prison for the rest of your life. You realize that? Like, the whole thing is like, you want to destroy everything. You're also going to destroy your own life. I'm not really understanding, like, you're to burn it all down. I mean, you're burn. What are you burning? All down. There's a lot of great people here.
You do something stupid. Or I'm going to go and get in front of these agents' faces, these policemen's faces, because you know what? It's the righteous thing to do. I'm a revolutionary. Fucking clowns. What's up, Juniper? No, I don't want to do that one. So this one I keep mentioning ever since, well, god damn it, the beginning of time, and how they're ignoring a specific group of illegals that need our help, that need ICE agents' help, that needs Department of Homeland Security help, that needs the FBI's help, but they're not getting it.
In your backyard in America. Under the Biden administration, over 438,000 migrant children have vanished into those shadows, unaccounted for, trafficked, exploited, or worse. But we, the people, are not powerless.
Sentinel, they typically are, high school dropouts or affluent people. Then again, if you look at them, what is the graduation rate of people that can actually read at their grade level, not a third grade level?
Today, we expose the truth, we ignite hope, and we call to action today with our Rev 17. It will be a call to action for every single one of us. Rev 17, Rising Up for the Children Conference, happening June 20th through June 22nd, 2025 in Yuba City, California. Joining me are warriors on the front lines. Pastor David Bryan from Glad Tidings Church, leading the charge with the Peace of Heaven Children's Paradise to rescue the restored trafficked children, or rescue and restore the trafficked children.
That is what people should be getting behind and protesting for. That right there. Weird, right? I thought it was all about protecting kids from the womb. Well, never mind. They're the ones that are pro-abortion. But they want to, let you transition their kids. They're okay with that. But, if they're being trafficked and shit like that, they don't matter. They're second class, third class. They don't even exist. Now, this guy I used to watch a long time ago when he was on Blaze TV. He still makes a lot of good stuff, and he's talking about how the media, as we've seen, have been downplaying all these fucking incidences going on across the country.
Work with the government to downplay what's going on. Listen to this. In front of all of this, it's in front of a riot, it's again the media is running cover saying that it's not chaos.
When I read this comment, hard times make hard men make weak times make weak men. So is this the fault of Generation X or the Operation Iraqi, or Operation, the fuck is it called? The Global on Terrorism people like me? Did we make these weak people? Did we make these weak times? It sucks. But I'm glad my kids are completely different. Let me take a look at that.
There's no violence. It's completely peaceful. One of my favorite clips is a black woman I think she was with MSNBC, talking about how like these people are lovely, they're very kind, and they're like this guy's a pit bull behind her, and he's trying to get the pit bull to bite her hair, and he's like flipping her off, and they're like these black guys like threatening and screaming at her. And she's like, they're just kind residents. They're people.
I haven't
just
seen
want
that
their
one
voices
specifically,
heard.
but I actually saw the one where that was what he actually said. That is fucking hilarious.
Like, man, they're behind you and you need to run, Yep. Look at this.
But it's not chaotic. It's not, nobody's, other than what you see behind me, it's actually relatively mellow, even though it might not seem that way. It's like a sort of, another thing that happens at protests like this is that they sort of settle into almost like a celebratory atmosphere, as much as like a confrontational one.
Dude, that's so crazy. He's like, yeah, it's not really chaotic. Looks behind him and goes, well, I mean, besides the line of melted cars in the middle of the street that were burned down as their lithium-ion batteries exploded, it's really not chaotic. And I always wonder, how long have these people who run these news networks been married for? Because they know how to gaslight better than anyone I've ever heard. That guy's come home late enough times. He's like, it's not even that late. Looks at the clock. It's like 3:30 a.m. Technically it's early tomorrow, Right? That's basically what he's saying. It's not really chaotic. It's like
peaceful cars blown up. And
yeah.
you're like,
it's mellow. Come on,
it's
a mellow atmosphere. This is how you get you start the celebration. No, I mean, you're seeing this on multiple news stations. I know we have a few more to go through where they're all just pushing that same message. And it's not even that they're just lying with their mouth. You know, we can see visually what's happening behind them. We can see the destruction. And yet they want to sit here and gaslight us to believe that everything is safe, everything is peaceful, and is far from the truth. And they're all orchestrated on it. Project Mockingbird.
All these cars that they're burning is because they have marshmallows, guys. They're making s'mores. They're singing Kumbaya. Kumbaya, my Havi. Kumbaya. All right. Enough of that. We're not going to play that one. And this was, pretty interesting. This is Caroline Leavitt during a press brief yesterday. And I want you to pay attention to the stupid question the reporter asks. She even brings out, hey, this is fucking stupid. This is great. No matter how many ways you frame the question, you're still going to get the same answer.
Caroline, the president warned that any protests on...
I forgot to make the screen big. You know she's married to a guy that's 32 years older than her? She's 27.
Saturday would be met with force. Can you clarify what kind of protest President Trump does support or find acceptable?
The president absolutely supports peaceful protests. He supports the First Amendment. He supports the right of Americans to make their voices heard. He does not support violence of any kind. He does not support assaulting law enforcement officers who are simply trying to do their job. It's very clear for the president what he supports and what he does not. Unfortunately for Democrats, that line has not been made clear, and they've allowed this unrest and this violence to continue, and the president has had to step in.
So if there were peaceful protests on Saturday for the military parade, President Trump would allow that?
Of course the president supports peaceful protests. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you so much, Caroline.
Get down. You hear that? That last comment? Let's just play it again.
Protests on Saturday.
Caroline.
Thanks so much, Caroline.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Raquel. Thank you. What a stupid question. Raquel. Full protest. What a stupid question. Full protest. What a stupid question. Raquel.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thanks so much, Caroline. The president
I like it. I like it. What a stupid question.
Protests on Saturday.
I could watch her talk all day.
Can you clarify what kind of protest President Trump does support?
Just for shits and giggles, Bat Mom, this is for you. I need you to get down. I need you to get down. This is for you, Bat Mom, because you sent it in. I will graciously play this.
I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, and they haven't asked me for advice, but if I did, I'd tell them, look, you just got to try harder not to suck. I mean, think about it. Over the past 4 years, the Democrats mismanaged Congress, they mismanaged COVID, they mismanaged the economy, they mismanaged inflation, they mismanaged the national debt, they mismanaged Afghanistan. The party is controlled right now by people who majored in online activism with a minor in puberty blockers. I know these people. They think men can breastfeed. They're triggered by race. They cry if you use the wrong pronoun. And most fair-minded Americans look at this and they go, these people are about 10 exits past normal. And that's what's killing the Democrats right now. I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, and they haven't asked.
I love Kennedy. That dude, so old. He talks so slow, but he makes sure it's understandable. Great. And he doesn't have a filter, which is good sometimes in this world. So this one's from the Hodge twins. This is not Nebraska, is it? Partially Nebraska. So this happened, not this one, but they're talking, fuck, let's get to the video.
My black brothers and sisters out there that are the ones that are posting all this, oh, we just gonna mind our business. And I saw somebody earlier making t-shirts of like a group of like 6 black people, black men and women sitting on a bench texting on phones
see your
while
face,
the country is burning up behind them.
why are you covering it in this one? You think you're that dude from fucking G.I. Joe? Huh? And look, he's got a no clan hood, right? No clan, whatever.
Black men and women sitting on a bench, texting on phones while the country is burning up behind them. Let me explain something to you guys. Let me explain something to you. When they get done with the brown people, they'll be coming after you. And if you
wait, they're going after me first? Fuck. Whatever. So guys, you didn't see me. I'm completely white. I like Big Macs, and I don't eat rice at all. I talk like I'm from Alabama because, well, why not? What's up, Laura?
Yeah, we got a new show for y'all. Got a damn good show. But before we get to today's video, don't forget, we got a new giveaway, Ram Diesel Turbo Cash. He said, so when they get done with the brown people, they coming for us. They coming for the blacks. Yeah, they coming for the Negro. How would they?
That's why I love watching Jesse Lee Peterson, because he's straight up like, they're coming for the blacks, or the blacks. He doesn't say African Americans. He doesn't say the black, or whatever. He says the blacks.
Man, that's crazy. They gonna start deporting American citizens? Yeah, he's making it about race, about skin color. It has nothing to do with that. Yeah. It's all about your legal status in the country. Yeah. But let's listen what this fool got to say.
100% true.
And all this, we just gonna mind our business. And I saw somebody earlier making t-shirts of like a group of like 6 black people, black men and women sitting on a bench, texting on phones while the country is burning up behind them. Let me explain something to you guys. Let me explain something to you. When they get done with the brown people, they'll be coming after you. And if you don't think that's true, you got another thing coming.
I don't think it's
this
true.
Is bigger than you, okay? Because let me explain another thing to you. You sit back and watch millions of brown people be kidnapped and removed from this country. When they do come after you, there's going to be nobody left to stand up for you.
This is nuts. They're being kidnapped. Low capacity. Well, you know what? I could tell when he looks like a white guy. He wants to be black so bad. He's been infected by the Negro virus. He wants to be black so bad. I could tell by the way he cuts his mustache. Yeah.
The Negro virus.
His dialect. Yeah, you can tell. Yeah. And he sounds like he thinks he's in tune with the black community. Yep. Let me tell you something about the black community. They only care about themselves. It's always been that way. Yeah. Yep.
And when they're coming after you, how are you going to feel when people are sitting on the sideline like, we just going to mind our business? All this other dumb
Laura, my bad.
What doing, man? No, that's not the time for that. Power to the people.
Man, see, he wants to be black so bad.
Power to the
nuts. People. You just threw away all your white privilege. Yeah, he's got life in the palm of his hand. Well, and he's throwing it away to be Oh, man. See what this guy, power to the people. Yeah. What he fails to understand, there's a lot of tribalism within the Latino community.
And black.
But let's stick to the Latinos. He wants us to stick up for the Latinos. The Latinos don't even stick up for themselves. The only time they stick up for themselves is here in America. Let me tell you something. Go call somebody from Nicaragua, Mexican. They get pissed. Call an El Salvadorian Nicaraguan. He's going to be pissed. Yeah. There's a lot of tribalism in Central America and Mexico. Yeah. And they don't even get along there. Like, they deport from Mexico people that's in that country illegally from all these other Latin countries.
Don't forget about the Cubans.
Yeah, but here in America, they have a common cause, so now they're all together. Yeah. And you bought into that.
Yeah. Why would I fight? Why would I protest for a person that's in my country illegally, using our resources, taking our jobs? I would never protest for that because I have an IQ higher than 6. You're an idiot.
Yeah, look at this.
That dude's reading level, like, what is it?
waving their flag. Mm-hmm. Imagine if I went to Mexico, a bunch of Americans went to Mexico, and I'm waving the American flag, right? And they trying to kick us out, and we out there protesting, waving the American flag. Yeah. Imagine if I bet you the cartel will come out there. Oh, definitely, your days are numbered. If I move to Mexico, anywhere in Mexico, and I buy a home there, and I put out, and I
even the
Mexican
president saying that Donald Trump needs to keep his hands off all the Mexicans that live in California. You don't run California, you dumb bitch.
You're not even allowed to buy a home. No. Yeah, even if I say I did do that, right? Yeah, because in Mexico City, that place is overran by American citizens. Yeah, you got to jump through some hoops, though. Yeah. But let's say I moved there and I put up the American flag. What do you think is going to happen to me? I'm taking away resources from Mexico citizens. I'm buying their homes. I'm using up the things that was meant for citizens of that country. And a lot of these Mexicans in that country is pushing back on that because it's a lot of Americans moving from the United States, living there, driving up all the cost of everything. Yeah, because they bring a lot of money there. Yeah. That money's not going to them. Yeah. So it's like, look at this. I was supposed to go out there and stand with these people. Yeah.
Is that a Russian flag?
Like, what is this? Look, his last name is Sanchez. He's got his head together. Yeah. Yeah, look at the black fella back there. That's a black guy? Yeah. Oh, he probably talked for
you see some of these people when they're like, I can't believe Trump and these people are going for this. Y'all people need to find Jesus. And I'm like, well, if I really wanted to find Jesus, let me walk through these protests. I guarantee you there's like 10 to 15 of them that are named Jesus.
He probably talks Spanish. There's some black people in, look, there's the Mexican. They blocking the freeway.
Yep.
Yeah, I was supposed to go stand with these people. No thanks. Those people are idiots. See, Sanchez here, he's got it together. I'm not standing for somebody that's in my country illegally taking resources from people that live here. I've said this a few times. In California, that state's always been broke. I remember I used to live out there for we out there 15 years. That state's always been broke, on the edge of bankruptcy. I remember rolling blackouts. Mm-hmm. Then
they still have rolling blackouts.
They have a $40 billion Medicaid hole because they're providing all these resources to illegals. Mm-hmm. And now they want the federal government to step in and say, here. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. You know what's crazy? You go to a grocery store, like a Mexican grocery store, a Latino grocery store, everybody in there, they don't speak a word of English. All of them using California assistance, welfare, every last one of them. They're not even citizens of our country. I didn't even know. I remember I lost my job. I got on SNAP benefits. Yeah. Right? We was on for and they gave us this card. It's like this debit card. Mm-hmm. It's got the seal of California on it. Yeah, something on it. I can't remember. And I remember I was ashamed to use that card. Then I went in the grocery store to buy me something because I was hungry. And everybody was pulling the card out. Didn't nobody speak English. Yeah. Nobody. I was like, wow, I know these people are not legal to be here. And then they kicked me off after only 2 weeks because they found out I was a veteran and they told me to go to the Veterans Administration. Yeah, they can help me. Yeah.
No, they can't. Not for that. That's a crock of shit.
The social worker, she was Latina. She kicked me off.
Did you know originally SNAP benefits were meant for veterans when they initially came through? It was to help veterans. And I forgot what the other group of people was, but it's insane.
Those other Latinos? Of course they don't. I mean, all races participate, engage in tribalism. That's why when you go to prison, whites are with whites, blacks are with blacks, Latinos are with Latinos. And now this white fool that wants to be black wants us to go out there and stand up for people that's breaking our immigration laws. And I'm telling you, these black people, these Latinos, they're not going to hold that same allegiance that you do. And you're white. You should know better.
Yeah.
Go live in an all Latino.
So when I was stationed in Korea, there was a little group called Nuestra Familia. Mexicans who, pretty much came together in Korea out of solidarity. And there was a white boy that was in the group. Well, I was hanging out with these because my roommate was a Mexican. And obviously, they accepted me because I looked like a Mexican in the first place. Even though I was blatantly told them, hey, I'm not Mexican. And so we're out at one of the clubs drinking, and one of the white girls that was hanging with us, obviously, they like my brown skin. And this white boy from the group was trying to get with her, but at the same time trying to start shit with me. So when he tried to start shit with me, even though he was part of this group, they turned on him, not me. So you can be whatever color you think you are, but when it comes to groups like that, they'll stick with their own. Even though I wasn't one of their own, but I look like it. Weird story. Totally out of nowhere. But what happens, this is a shitty transition. Probably Yeti, I'm not really sure. This was 25 years ago. 2000. Yeah, 2000. Now we're going to transition to what happens if you're a protester and you're not an American citizen, for one. Or maybe you are, for the other. And you're also here illegally because you've been deported once before. What happens when you're like, you know what? I think it would be a really good idea to go out and protest and throw Molotov cocktails at cops. Really good idea. No one's going to catch me.
They are. Well, this is a Fox News alert. Charges being filed now against some Los Angeles ICE protesters in connection with the Molotov cocktail attacks. Let's listen in for a moment.
Cocktails at police officers. Last Saturday, one defendant, Emiliano Galvez, hid behind a fence and threw the destructive device at a sheriff's deputy, then ran away. Deputies gave chase and arrested him. That's the video you actually see playing right there. The following day, a police officer apprehended the other defendant, Raki Quigui, after spotting him with a Molotov cocktail in his hand. Officers witnessed him throw the device in the air and then arrested him with a lighter in his right hand. I commend our prosecutors and our law enforcement partners for swiftly taking action against these individuals. Our community must be kept safe for peaceful protests and against thugs and criminals looking to start trouble. We expect more charges to be filed in the coming days and weeks. If you took part in these riots and were looking to cause trouble, we will come looking for you. These defendants are charged with possession of an unregistered explosive device in violation of 26 United States Code Section 5861D. Possessing a Molotov cocktail or another destructive device is punishable by up to 10 years in federal prison. They are presumed innocent until proven guilty. I now introduce the Los Angeles special agent in charge of the AT.
What about the guy that was already here illegally twice? Are you going to jail him and then deport him, or are you going to just deport him? I mean, the border's a lot more secure than it was 6 months ago.
ATF office here, Mr. Kenneth Cooper.
You're in the right place, Abby. You're in the right place.
Good morning, everybody.
He's got that Rand Paul hair.
I want to stand here and represent ATF and the public and announcing to the public that ATF's firmly committed to our whole of government approach to providing public safety, especially with what's going on here in Los Angeles. I want to make it very clear that we are not putting our state and local partners with LA County Sheriff's Office, our Sheriff's Department, or LAPD. We are not pulling them into Title VIII investigations. We understand their restrictions with state law. So this is us coming together when violent acts are committed against the citizens of Los Angeles. And in cases like this, the facts of the case are fairly simple. If you guys see the defendant here, Mr. Galvez, this was during the Paramount riots where Border Patrol was utilizing gas.
What's the tattoo?
Because they were having rocks and fireworks thrown at them and they were being assaulted. LA County Sheriff's Department responded to assist. This individual was identified even by open source media, preparing to assault them with a destructive device. And as you could see, by the grace of God, when he deployed that in a fireball, it luckily did not hit one of the deputies, as it clearly would have caused substantial physical injury or death.
Like they did in Boulder.
ATS firmly committed. These are the most aggressive criminal acts, and we will aggressively work with our state and local and federal partners to investigate the use of destructive device, arson or explosives or firearms to assault our public citizens and our public safety first responders.
Well,
I guess I didn't even highlight our partnership too. The second case with LAPD, both incidents, ATF was able to work with each of these police departments to get an arrest on individuals that were attempting to harm the police officers with destructive devices.
The Los Angeles Police Department appreciates the partnerships with both our federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, especially during this time of unprecedented civil unrest. We're going to continue to work with them to ensure that our community remains safe during this challenging time, especially when it involves cases where violence is being conducted against both of our local law enforcement uniform officers as well as our federal officers during this time. We'll continue to work together to make sure our community remains safe and target those individuals that are doing harm to both our community members as well as our law enforcement officers as they try to keep peace in our communities right now. Thank you very much, and I'll introduce Commander Ruiz from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department.
Ruiz.
Good morning, everyone. This is going to be brief. I just want to say thank you to our federal partners for working together with us and moving forward with these prosecutions. On behalf of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department and all of the local law enforcement agencies in LA County, thank you.
Oh, short and to the point.
If there's any questions, we could take a couple right now. Yes.
How many people have been federally charged so far tied to the protests, and what's the importance of charging federally versus locally?
We'll get you those hard numbers later. I know there was at least 9 people charged over the weekend. We've had more people charged this week for throwing rocks at officers. These 2 cases for throwing Molotov cocktails. I
was watching live coverage from Los Angeles last night, and when the curfew started, like the curfew wasn't even 30 minutes into effect already, and they already had a bus full of people that broke curfew. They were all zip cuffed and ready to get on the bus to the jail. Like, bro, you know there's a curfew, and you think they're just going to be like, you know what? We feel bad. We're not going to mess with you guys. Go ahead and continue looting and do whatever the fuck you want to do. We'll just stand by and watch. Well, that wasn't the case. Oh, you know what? I forgot something I wanted to show you. And it was a clip that I took. Let me see if I can find it. Where do they put clips at? That's not it. That's not it. Content. Well, goddamn. Where do the clips go when you save them? Am I retarded? Well, yeah, don't answer that. Give me a second. Let me play this video. This Benny Johnson, you know, every once in a while I watch Benny Johnson. And you get to watch this real quick while I find this clip, which I thought was kind of hilarious. Is it watch later?
And she's causing a lot of problems for the Walmart brand. And I actually think I know where all of this comes from. Obviously, Chrissy Walton cares a lot about Walmart, And perhaps she saw this TikTok.
No.
Yeah,
Oh,
hello?
shit. I'm a fucking moron.
Routine check.
Yo, it's literally under your clips. What the fuck? All right, give me a second. Let me pull it up. So I want you to pay attention to this video. I saw this last night when I was watching Crowder. Listen to what the guy's saying. Listen to what the guy in the crowd says, and then watch this guy walk away.
Mainstream media does not cover Donald Trump attacking the Capitol. They only want to see LA look bad. Let's bring up Capitol, what happened at the Capitol with Donald Trump.
Didn't they cover it for like 4 years?
Watch the girl right here.
Mainstream media does not cover Donald Trump attacking the Capitol. They only want to see LA look bad. Let's bring up Capitol, what happened at the Capitol with Donald Trump.
Didn't they cover it for like 4 years?
Watch the girl right here.
The media did not cover Donald Trump and the insurrection at the Capitol. They didn't cover it. Correct me if I'm wrong. They're still covering it. What the fuck is wrong with that guy? That is a low IQ, uninformed Democratic voter, if he's legal, or if he even votes.
Well, I'm an American citizen.
Well, we have questions that'll determine that answer.
Okay.
How many points are scored in a football game?
6.
We want to make America
Great again.
Who's the best female artist?
Taylor Swift.
All right, last question. Can you say Walmart? Sir, can you say...
Yes, I know. Walmart. No.
So this is absolutely what Christy Walton saw. And she was so offended. It made her so angry. How dare they? How dare they? Said Walmart heiress. Makes shock move against Trump. Bombshell message to Americans. Christy Walton, again, the Walton family, started Walmart, created Walmart. She took a massive full-page ad in the New York Times and other local newspapers, calling for Americans to take to the streets and fight Donald Trump.
Walmart.
She's worth tens of billions of dollars. Of course, she inherited all of this money. She's not actually one of the kids. She married into the family. And her husband died in a tragic plane accident. And then she became a billionaire. And like many white, boomer, left-wing elitists, self-loathing, insufferable, narcissistic, doesn't live in the real world, rich ladies, well, she's just decided to use all of this incredible blessing for evil.
I didn't know that, Twomper. I did not know that.
What happens next? Well, the boycott happens next. Insane newspaper ad paid for by Christy Walton, Walmart heiress. You can see right here inside of this ad, paid for by Christy Walton. They were like, she's like really proud, right? The views represented here are solely those of Christy Walton. So like everyone's like, Christy Walton, like hold on, like this is the Walmart heiress.
Yep.
So she's like gotten all her money from Walmart. Do you shop at Walmart, Carrie Lake?
Didn't Walmart start in Arkansas? If I'm correct, Yeti.
Right, and then a lot of people are connecting the dots. Wait a second. So the Walmart heiress is working with the Clinton Foundation and the Soros groups. Holy smokes, is Walmart behind all of this? And then everyone was like, wait, they're handing out a lot of expensive equipment that you can only find at a Walmart, right?
This is wild. A mysterious black truck just passed out all of these expensive bionic face shields to protesters.
Remember we talked about these face shields the other day because they zoomed in on it. Like, why the fuck do we care what brand name it is?
In LA, and the news caught it on camera. I
Now
zoomed in
why.
and found out this is the UVEX bionic shield. These are not cheap. They're around $45 to $65, and you can't just get them in bulk. But One place that sells them is Walmart. And why is that important? Because there's a new protest being promoted called No Kings on June 14th. And even celebrities like Chrissy Teigen are posting it. And it's in magazines and newspapers. And guess who's behind this message? Christy Walton. That's right, one of the billionaire heiresses, a part of the Walmart family. Now, I don't know.
All right. People are like connecting the dots, right?
You know, June 14th, Donald Trump's birthday, I get it. But this army parade that's going on in Washington, D.C. on June 14th, 2025 is the 250th birthday of the United States Army. It's the Army's birthday. You only turn 250 once. Once! Why not have a parade? Oh, it cost $134 million. Did you know this riot so far in Los Angeles is going to cost $100 billion? One of those numbers. And who's going to pay for that? Taxpayers. Did you know $8.2 billion went to Medicaid for illegals in California last year? Interesting. Suddenly they care about taxpayer money.
This is a crisis for Walmart. And you could see some of the biggest creators in the world, like the Hodge twins here. They have tens of millions of followers. Hey, Walmart, are the Waltons funding these riots? People are talking about how Walmart decided to attack President Trump with the tariffs
throughout the chain.
In the tariff war.
Walmart made billions of dollars of last year, far more than expected. Between Walmart and China, they should, as is said, eat the tariffs and not charge valued customers anything. I'll be watching, and so will your customers. So, is it possible that maybe the Walmart family didn't like that and now they're finding ways to make their voices heard?
I mean, they're all billionaires,
Fun
right?
fact, I was talking to my kids and my wife about Walmart last night because of this. I haven't personally been into Walmart in fucking over 6 months, 7 months. And apparently neither have my wife and kids. They don't go to Walmart anymore anyway. I was like, damn, all right. Well, I guess I don't have to tell you watch out for Walmart. And then obviously my youngest daughter is like, I shop at Target. Why do you shop at Target? Because they got rid of their DEI and their pride stuff. Oh, that's weird. 4 years ago, you would have said the exact opposite. Schools were brainwashing her. TikTok was brainwashing her. The COVID shutdowns helped me prevent the rest of that brainwashing. Because they were at home doing online learning, but when they weren't, they were listening to me in the background. And they were like, wait a second. That's not what I've been hearing. Let me listen to Dad.
Anyway, the point is that there was quite a little boycott brewing here. And it was reaching crisis level for Walmart. Now, yesterday I said, something's going to happen. Something's going to break. Because Walmart, you don't want to be in the wrong side of these protests. Either these protests are foreign invaders, they're absolute criminals. These people are monsters, and they're attacking cops, and they're attacking military members. And that's everything that Walmart says they stand for. And the charity work that they do, it's often focused towards military families and people who are in need. And this is exactly who these, rabid animals are attacking. So, what happens next? Get a load of this from Laura Loomer. Walmart is set to release a statement tonight condemning the violence after Walmart heiress Christy Walton took out an ad promoting the protests. I was able to get this ad that was published by Walmart heiress in front of Walmart's executives today. Oh. I explained to them and their representatives that they need to condemn the actions of Christy and her ad in promoting radical leftist ideologies. Walmart will be releasing the statement below in the next hour. I've given the statement ahead of time by Walmart executives. We condemn violence, including what's directed towards law enforcement and damaging of property. As a company and associates and customers in the Los Angeles region, we have focused on safety, impacted associates. The advertisements from Christy Walton are in no way connected to the endorsement of Walmart. She does not serve on the board or play any decision-making at Walmart.
Running into the microphone.
I'd like to add that Walmart was very receptive, says Laura Loomer, when their executives were contacted with my concerns, and they didn't push
Oh,
back.
it's Laura
Anyway,
Loomer.
they said they needed to make the statement today. I'm glad Walmart took this opportunity to distance themselves from Christy Walton's anti-Trump multi-city ad. I mean, some of the damage has been done. You know, she's quote tweeting Anna Luna, and now you have congressional investigations into what's going on, like here, right? Who's funding this? Is it Walmart? Is Walmart funding this? Right?
I need to get down.
Anyway, people are saying, thank you, Laura Luna, for all you do. It's good to know that Walmart doesn't approve. Laura Loomer saying, Walmart said they do not approve. I'm told Christie doesn't even live in the United States. And she's the black sheep of the Walmart family. She's creating all of this chaos outside of the United States. I was in communication with Walmart today, and they said they don't support her anti-Trump advocacy. They immediately took action when I told them the ad was going viral, and I made it clear that they would get the Bud Light treatment. So kudos to Walmart statement for condemning political violence. So let's go ahead. What did Walmart actually release? Let's go. We condemn violence, says Dan Barlett. Dan Barlett is the corporate affair, the EVP of corporate affairs for Walmart. Okay. Executive Vice President for Corporate Affairs. We condemn violence, including when it's directed towards law enforcement and the damaging of property. As a company with associates and customers in the Los Angeles region, we remain focused on safety, impact of associates. The advertisements from Christy Walton are in no way connected or endorsed by Walmart. She does not serve on the board or play any role in decision-making at Walmart. Okay. That's what they said.
So, funny story. We're going to move on to the next segment, but we're going to touch back on yesterday when I was showing you that video, that service member that was protesting in her uniform. So, the word running around the veteran/military community is that fucking soldier who was discharged from the National Guard 5 years ago for essentially saying the same shit. Hey Chantel, good to see you, ma'am. So she basically put on a uniform after she's been kicked out 5 years ago. Got kicked out in 2020. This is just running around the veteran and the military community. But she's already been kicked out for almost the same shit 5 years ago. Yet she's coming on the media, and the liberal media is running with it. Hell, even Benny Johnson's running with it. They haven't come out and specifically said what we're talking about on our side of the spectrum. Just on what the legacy media wants to show you. Fun story, fun fact. Who was talking about funding?
Days of this intense movement. Many people, including President Trump, are wondering who's supporting some of these rioters. Senior national correspondent William LaJeunesse is in Los Angeles with that aspect of the story. And look, William, if people just thought, oh, maybe that's imagination, there's video. There are receipts for this.
Yeah, I mean, the money's got to come from somewhere, right? I mean, sure, it's going to turn out several thousand
funding, receipts. No?
People on any given night. And so you're going to have the water, the riot gear, the coordination to get out all these demonstrators. You have criminals, you have professional agitators, and activists who support a variety of left-wing issues, and they'll take any opportunity to bash the administration. So one group behind the demonstrations is CHIRLA, Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. The IRS document shows 34
Cholo
$1 million in government grants, including 3 from President Biden's DHS for $750 grand. President Trump cut that off. It also gets state and city grant money for lawyers to fight deportations. CHIRLA spends $10 million a year on salaries, including $200,000 for the director, Angelica Salas.
Oh.
So we are asking that everybody that got arrested today be released. That's right. We want them in their houses, with their families, with their children.
CHIRLA also founded the Rapid Response Network. That's the hotline immigrants use to report ICE raids. It will then text these alerts so immigrants can go hide and activists can stop ICE operations.
$34 million from the government.
And so I was in a room yesterday morning, meeting with the immigrant rights organizations, and all of a sudden everybody's cell phones started blowing up. That's when we all heard about a raid that was taking place in Whittier.
So another organizer is SEIU. You see the purple there. They have 700,000 members. The union turns out big numbers. Others are simply there to bash capitalism.
We are the real workers. The working class is the one that builds this country. Yet it's the billionaires in power that continue to harass us and attack us and take absolutely everything from us.
Operation Healthy Hearts, according to the New York Post.
Down with capitalism, right? From what I'm hearing. What are their thoughts on the IRS? Really, what are their thoughts on the IRS? They're literally stealing your money. They're stealing my money. They steal your money every day. Well, at least on the 5th, every paycheck you get.
Post handed out face shields and riot gear to protesters. Now, their kits include a lawyer's phone number to get out of jail. And some of these groups could face prosecution for aiding and abetting.
They might think they're making the community safer, but they're not. And we won't put up with that, and we're going to take criminal action against those type of organizations.
So the bottom line is, Harris, California is loaded with nonprofits that feed off taxpayer money. They can turn out a crowd in minutes, and we're seeing that here, now that coordination in other cities. Back to you.
Yeah, and that's the next part of all of this, too. I'm going to get to that because this is spreading and it's happening so quickly. So how does it happen that they have so much in common as it moves? I'm glad you're on it, William. Great job. Thank you.
Social media.
The dangerous chaos is now on the East Coast.
Easy.
Officers arrested more than 80 people as thousands of them were flooding the streets of New York City. And a terrifying scene in Chicago. This is just not okay.
Yeah, it is.
A driver plowed a car through a crowd of hundreds of anti-ICE demonstrators. But there's law enforcement on the ground, too. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has also announced that his state's National Guard is ready to be deployed around the state to curb whatever happens there, whatever of this mass protesting, movement, agitation, and in some cases, criminal violence pops up. In total, they rallied against ICE and the president.
Oh, weird. Nashville's not
in
on
at
there.
least 15 cities from coast to coast. They don't
Now, keep
like
in mind,
immigration.
it's No Kang's Day. It's coming up on Saturday. They're supposedly going to be in all 50 states. I don't think there's going to be any in Alaska. I'm going to be 100% honest. There's not going to be any of these fucking protests in Alaska. But all 49 states, we'll go with that. Coming to a city near you. Good luck.
Picking up illegals. They're for the illegal aliens committing crimes. It's so confusing and dangerous. Republican Congressman Andy Biggs of the great state of Arizona, member of the House Oversight and Judiciary Committees, also a candidate for governor of Arizona. Great to see you today. So look,
Thanks, Harris.
This is spreading. I don't know if you could hear William LaJeunesse, but it's got some things about it that would say maybe some of these people are getting some help. What's your idea, or what are you learning on that aspect of it?
Well, they're not self-funding.
We're learning that this isn't really organic, that this is highly coordinated, that there's money that's behind this. Some of it is federal grant money or California state grant money even that has gone to these organizations. They've turned around and used it to go after and create this actual rioting and this. There's not protesting anymore. This is absolutely rioting.
So what legally can be done? I mean, it seems like if they're going, it sounds like a misappropriation of funds. I'm sure it was never intended for that funding.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they're using the grant money other than it was intended for sure, but you also have this notion of, are they getting people out and encouraging and fomenting the rioting? It looks like that maybe they are. And if they are, that would be aiding and abetting this kind of misconduct, which is criminal conduct, and aiding and abetting is also a criminal offense. And there might even be...
Oh, go ahead.
There might even be an opportunity to investigate them for conspiracy as well, because if they've organized this criminal enterprise, then that's conspiracy.
Okay, so those are serious crimes at this point. Just real quickly, a word on Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. I mean, he is so hyper-focused on the president of the United States. He had a loss from this judge. What's your take on that situation? The rejection of, yeah, if the president wants to move in and do this, he'll make a ruling later this week, but he's not currently going to stop it.
Yeah, I think that the president's on good legal footing for this. I think Gavin Newsom, when he stands up and says this is only the beginning, this is going to begin in California, he didn't mean it the way he said it, but he's right. This is spreading. The rioting is spreading, and it is becoming a national issue. So the need to actually step in, because people like Gavin Newsom are not taking the action. Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, is not taking the action to protect their citizenry. And by the way, we have federal assets and federal personnel that are being threatened and attacked that they are not protecting. So I think President Trump's right to protect them.
Well, and look, you have the top-ranking member in the House for Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries, saying, oh, well, let's have their identities. Why are they wearing masks? You know, let's know who all of the ICE agents and the law enforcement, endangering their lives. We already know they've been targeted.
Yeah, that's an incredibly reckless approach by the minority leader here. But just take a look at it.
Why don't you guys go back to Mexico? You see the rioters? I don't know. It looks like you guys really support your country. That is so strange. Not a single American flag right there in that video, right there in the background. However, you guys want to come here and live for a better life, quote unquote, but you're waving another country's flag. To me, that just it's ironic. But we'll get to another video later, when people like, oh, well, if Mexico's so great, why don't you go back? Because capitalism. What? You don't want to live in America because of capitalism, but you don't want to go to a place like Mexico because capitalism. The fuck out of here. You guys have no idea what you're talking about.
The people who are assaulting these officers, they always put on masks for anonymity. And the reason that our guys have to wear masks is because they're being doxxed, they're being attacked, their families are being threatened. Yes, for Hakeem to stand up and say that, incredibly dangerous, incredibly reckless.
Yeah, I mean, rocks, and we've seen cement bricks thrown at vehicles and all the like. So good to have you today. Thank you very much.
All these Democrat politicians out there supporting
that
them,
isn't going to.
All I know is that the approval rating on Democrats in Congress is fucking abysmal. Let's see what it is today. If I could spell right. Dude, I just misspelled every single word of that. They're currently sitting at a 21% approval rating. That's terrible. And 53% Democrats disapprove of Congress Democrats. That's terrible. What happens when you protest in these riots in Florida?
Fly in Florida. This is not Los Angeles. This is the free state of Florida. The minute you cross into attacking law enforcement, any type of rioting, any type of vandalism, looting, just be prepared to have the law come down on you. And we will make an example of you. You can guarantee it.
This is a peaceful protest. This is a riot.
Oh, that's from 2020.
We can tell the difference. The governor can tell the difference. Let me show you something. This is a peaceful protest. This is looting. If you loot, the next thing you can try to steal is something off of your food tray at the county jail, because you're going to jail. That's a guarantee. But I've also watched across this country when law enforcement officers who put their life on the line were told to stand down. Allow them to burn the precinct. Allow them to rob and loot.
Florida making national headlines with a new law that the governor signed today. Now, it promises jail time for being part of a violent riot.
So it increases the charge for battery on a police officer. It also allows people to sue local governments over personal or property damage, increases penalties for protesters who block roadways or deface public monuments.
Yes, it is blatantly racist.
Ben Frazier of the Northside Coalition of Florida leads peaceful protest and says the law is racist because it only came about after the riot scene in other states after the death of George Floyd.
It's designed to frighten people from going out to the protest to begin with.
This is what we enjoy in Florida. We're a special place, and there are millions and millions of people who like to come here. And quite frankly, we like to have them here. So we only want to share one thing as you move in hundreds a day.
Somebody like Grady Judd was in charge of the FBI. That would be interesting.
Welcome to Florida. But don't register to vote and vote the stupid way you did up north. You'll get what they got.
If you riot, if you loot, if you engage in mob violence, you are going to be held accountable in the state of Florida. We are not going to sit by and let people take pot shots at the men and women of law enforcement. You come from a foreign country illegally into our country. You burn the American flag in protest of them trying to send you back to the country whose flag you're waving. They're looting Foot Locker, the Apple Store, all this stuff, burning cars, doing all this. That would never fly in the state of Florida, not for 1 minute. You'd end up in the slammer very quickly. And what? Some of these streets are just shut down because you have all these people that are complaining? That's wrong. And so in Florida, the streets, do not even try to shut down the streets.
Hey guys, it's Angela. I am.
Oh yes, we know they're gonna try. Which one is this? I think this is... Oh, Denver. Straight from the protest in Denver. Listen to the way these people are so articulate into why they're protesting.
Back here in Denver, Colorado, and they are having what they call an LA to Denver emergency ICE protests around the nation right now. It looks like a civil war. Let's see what's happening here. Please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. Are you with or against what these protesters want?
I'm interested in going to a baseball game tonight. Now my ride won't get here.
You don't think we should have a border wall at all?
No, it doesn't work.
So you think anybody should be able to come into the U.S. at any time?
What are you talking about?
Like, so you think if anybody around the world wants to come into the U.S., they should be allowed to do that?
Isn't that what we were built on?
And how do you think that would affect our country?
I think it would bring crime rates down like it does in communities with higher immigration populations.
So Los Angeles and New York are both cities.
So letting all these illegal migrants keeps the country safer? Less violent? Is that how they do it up in Denver?
With the most amount of immigrants, and right now they are rampant with crime. How come you think the crime rates went down in Venezuela after they left the country and it went up in the United States?
I'm not marching in Venezuela.
But so you would be okay for our country to be filled with...
Are you still in Colorado? Chicago, man? Because I hear Chicago's getting pretty fucking retarded too.
People from Venezuela, Haiti, and other places, like just like mass immigration.
Pretty bad places. So if those people want to leave and come here, they're more than welcome to.
If their countries are bad, then how would they make our country better? He says that I should be ashamed of myself. Do you have immigrant parents or immigrant family?
Indirectly, yes.
And what country do they come from?
I guess, well, Puerto Rico's not really indirect, but Colombia.
Oh, okay.
Let's say.
Very nice. And have you ever been to Colombia?
No, I wish to go, though. It's got my passport. I'm ready to travel.
Yeah, I saw some of that on TV.
$1 billion industry.
It's bad.
Hear that? $1 billion industry that they have created out of our bodies. That's
Create $1 billion out of your body?
Shame on them. And guess what? This is an industry that we have a moral obligation to dismantle.
Oh.
So you're from Mexico?
So you mean these $1 billion industries, the ones you guys work for that pay you so you can, wear nice clothes, buy a fucking pickup truck that costs $40,000 and a PA system that probably costs $500. Yeah, those billion-dollar industries that you work for are really ripping you guys off.
Yes, I am.
And
family is.
How long have you been living in the
I
United
love this.
Moral obligation to
Are you from Mexico? Yes, I am. I mean, my family is. And here comes the magical age.
dismantle.
So you're from Mexico?
Yes, I am.
And
family is.
how long have you been living in the United States?
Over 30 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you came here when you were just little?
Yeah.
Okay. How old were you when you came?
I'm gonna say maybe like 5.
5. Wow.
Yeah.
You probably travel back and forth a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like, what's your favorite thing about Mexico and Mexican culture?
The food, the people, the
That's the easiest answer. It's always the food, because he's right. Mexican food is probably one of the best things about Mexico. Aside from Salma Hayek.
culture is great. History.
Would you, if you had to choose, would you prefer the United States or Mexico?
I would say both, to be honest. Yeah.
Like, some people wonder if your family came to the U.S. and you love the U.S. and you're grateful for it, then how come you're flying the Mexican flag instead of the American flag?
I support both. My blood's American. I would say my skin's pretty much Mexican, I share both.
Yeah.
So
I guess
My blood's American and my skin's American. Maybe my beard is not American, or my hair's not
It's like the thing that I'm confused about is it sounds like some people say there shouldn't be any border at all. Would you agree with that? Or do you think that there should be some type of regulation?
it should be somewhat regulation, but not over controlled. Somewhat. Just help the people out.
I was wondering if you believe, or what you think the difference between immigrants and illegal immigrants is.
They're all people.
That's not a difference.
So you don't think that there's a difference between illegal and illegal immigrants and immigrants?
No.
Wow.
Just people trying to get to the same place. The process getting in the way.
Would you say that you're proud to be Mexican?
People are trying to get the same thing, just the legal process is getting in the way. Yes. Like the Asian guy said before, at the very beginning of my show, they come here the legal way. They go through the legal process. We love America and we support deportations. Crazy fun fact. Because once we come here, we love America. We love America! Wait, that's the wrong country. Oh, fuck, I can't do a Chinese one. It's been a while since I had to do a fucking Chinese accent.
Mexican?
Yes, I'm super proud. I love being Mexican.
Okay. What do you love most about being Mexican?
I like that we have a lot of hardworking people, a lot of things that immigrants build, we help with, our culture, our food, dancing.
Would you say you're proud to be American?
I am, to an extent. Sometimes it sucks how our people get treated.
I see.
Saturday is the day of no kings, or whatever the fuck they want to call it. And basically they're going to protest in every state on how the anti-ICE protests. But at the same time, are they really there for anti-ICE protests? Because some of these cities, they're basically saying free Palestine. That has nothing to do with ICE protests. I bet you they don't march on Washington, D.C. during the parade. With over 14,000 troops and vehicles. For the Army's birthday.
You say that you're proud to be Mexican?
Yes, I'm super proud. I love being Mexican.
Okay. What do you love most about being Mexican?
I like that we have a lot of hardworking people, a lot of things that immigrants build, we help with, our culture, our food, dancing.
Would you say you're proud to be American?
I am, to an extent. Sometimes it sucks how our people get treated.
You're an American. do you mean the
I
people?
see. Yeah. And would you say that the life is better in Mexico or in the U.S.?
In the U.S., and that's why a lot of immigrants come over here to have a better life. It's not for us to become criminals, and I just think that what Trump is doing and what ICE is doing isn't right because they're taking people from their jobs.
Barack Obama deported 3 million. Joe Biden, funny fact, deported almost 3 million people in a 4-year span. During his last year, he set the record for most in a year. Joe Biden. Nobody talks about that.
And
although with this chick, I'd smash. I love these products of Mexico.
I just think that's unfair.
How come you think that life is better in the U.S. compared to Mexico?
In Mexico, there's not as much opportunity. A lot of people come over here because they want to make money for their families.
On one side, in my opinion, it seems like if we allow so many people in from other countries that aren't in the best state right now, like there's countries that really struggle, wouldn't those people have the same mindset here and create the same outcome here?
Yeah, I mean, I just think over here there's a lot more opportunity for people that are from other countries, and that's why we come over.
No more fascists, no more KKK. I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of the Border Patrol and ICE are Hispanic.
Here.
Yeah. But, like, so you don't think that there should be a border, though?
I mean, yeah, because, yeah, there is people that are criminals, but a lot of Hispanics come here to do better for their families.
They could still be criminals.
What president deported the most people?
That's a question that you can easily look up, and that would help everybody to look that up.
Honestly, if I think you're here to protest illegal immigration or against ICE, that's a number you should know.
Look up for your own information.
Do you know what president it is?
Off the top of my head, no. I'm focused on one thing only right now.
Okay. What did you think about Obama?
Another president.
So you're not in favor or against?
Just another president of ours.
Okay.
Yeah, well, that's
and how come you
MPP
think people
talk right
didn't
there.
protest after he deported 3 million people?
I have no idea. I wasn't there. I was in high school.
Oh, you're still in America.
I was wondering if you heard that the National Guard was deployed in Los Angeles?
I did. Shit's crazy. Yeah, the government is just occupying LA. We don't stand for that. That's why I'm here to fight back.
And what do you think about the protesters throwing rocks at them and fireworks and lighting Waymo cars and cars on fire in the street and looting businesses and putting graffiti all over the walls?
I think that's a minority of people. And it is a justified response to what's going on in our government right now. People are being deported without due.
Look at this dude. Well, perfect pause. Yo, this dude kind of looks like Ryan if Ryan was like super white and had long hair and a red face. I bet you this motherfucker still lives with his parents. And I bet you his parents are conservative. And he's out there because, well, no one likes him. He's got low self-esteem. His testosterone levels are on the floor. Last time he got laid was he probably hasn't.
Process. We the people will not stand for that.
So you're from a family of immigrants as well?
I am not.
What do you think about the South African immigrants?
Oh, I am. But I don't feel the same way you do. Which is weird.
I'm not sure what you're alluding to.
I'm sorry, the white South African refugees.
I don't think that's real. I think that was some shit made up by Elon Musk because he is a white supremacist.
So the persecution of white farmers in South Africa didn't happen. Okay. Could I say the same thing about 6 million?
You don't believe that the pharma tax against white farmers is real or that they're taking away their land without compensation?
I believe there may have been some attacks, but I do not believe they were targeted against white people. and I do not believe it was racially motivated.
So you haven't heard the chants of them saying, kill the Boer, kill the farmer?
That is not something I've heard. Thank you. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Bye, Mr. I'm an NPC. I only know what I'm fed. Do you have like cards to read off before you guys attend these protests? They absolutely
What do you think about the deportations?
Completely against it. I mean, I could understand that there may be laws of the land, but the way that this administration is going about it is completely the wrong way. It's dehumanizing.
Roots, we know the answer to this question. It's because today's society has gotten weak. And with a weak society, you have easily mind-controlled people. And what really helped control the minds of these people is obviously the COVID lockdowns. That's why they're so comfortable wearing masks. And now that these keyboard warriors get to come out and play, but once you fight back against these keyboard warriors that came out to play, they don't want to play anymore.
These immigrants built this country. This country was founded in immigration. Like some of the protesters said, it's stolen land.
What do you say that we conquered this land and now we have an established country? And what do you think about America?
I love America, but I think what we're seeing is not what America is supposed to.
So we're doing the stolen land stuff? Do we need to go check Jerusalem, Israel?
Supposed to stand for.
I'm wondering how you feel knowing that the American people voted for these deportations.
Doesn't feel good. But the thing is, the American people, the majority of American people don't speak for everyone.
Guys, imagine if I did my entire streams with my face covered. Imagine how I did that. Would anybody really take what I say seriously? I'm just curious. It's an odd question.
Right? But, they voted for these deportations out of misunderstanding and probably some hate and some skepticism and even probably under false accusations. You know what I mean?
What do you think about what was going on in Aurora and the takeover of that apartment complex?
Oh, I mean, most of that was like media scare. Like there was probably like not a takeover. That was proved to be like false.
Really? I went there and I saw it.
I think you saw something and it was easy to be like, oh, this is the takeover.
I talked to them and I walked.
Isn't that crazy? She was there and he's trying to tell her, oh, I don't know what you saw while you were on ground there, but that's not true.
Yeah,
if someone comes illegally into the country, they literally don't have a right to stay here. And the same as if you go,
you don't have a right to stay here. You don't have a right to stay.
Yes, you are right, Sentinel.
Here.
But I am a citizen and I was born here. This land was conquered and now we are an established nation and we're allowed to have borders, laws. I mean, Mexico, they would deport people. Other countries deport people. I mean, you can only stay in other countries for a few days.
Do deport people. Ask Greta Thunberg when she got deported last week.
What makes people think that you can just come here and stay forever?
It's America, right? Land of the great? Tell me not. Tell me it's not America, land of the great.
But how are we going to be great if there's a bunch of undocumented people coming here?
The undocumented people make America great.
I disagree.
I see, that's where we disagree.
I mean, because there's been...
I'll tell you this, though. I don't want to continue having a conversation with somebody who disagrees on that fundamental right. Is that okay?
He doesn't want to have a conversation with an opposing opinion. Okay. Then how can you have a common ground?
So you are Mexican?
Yes.
And would you ever live in Mexico?
Would I live in Mexico?
Yeah.
Right now, there's a lot of cartel violence that was caused by the destabilization of Mexico based on private interests in the United States. It's friendly or inhabitable really to like raising kids or just like living in. It's still safe. I mean, generally you can travel. They're just not certain areas.
How important do you think it is for like Mexican immigrants or any immigrant when they come to the U.S. to assimilate?
Assimilation can look in many different forms. There isn't really one standard culture in America that predominates all other, races or ethnicities in this country. It's considered a melting pot, or as some may want to say, a chopped salad.
No one's ever called America a chopped salad. Melting pot, yes. Chopped salad, no.
You guys love Mexico a lot?
Yeah, we love Mexico.
All right. This is one of the parts I really want you guys to pay attention to, because these two guys, I don't know if they're gay or what, but you can tell they have no idea what they're fucking talking about.
Mexico.
Or like, how long have you been in the U.S.?
Oh no, we've been here. We were all born here.
You were born here? And so you said, Viva Mexico!
Viva Mexico!
Would you ever live in Mexico?
Yeah, I've gone to Mexico a couple of times. It's I guess it's very controversial, because of like the given political climate. They kind of want to demonize like Mexico. And
would you ever live in Mexico? Yes, I visited there a few times. You visited vacation spots in Mexico, homie. You probably only want to live there. Go to real Mexico.
all the Mexican people that want to come over here to better their lives, there's a lot of businesses that are heading to Mexico in order. Well, I guess that supports capitalism. So wouldn't that have like a negative connotation too?
So you have a problem with capitalism?
Yes, I do. I do.
Then how come you don't leave?
How come I don't leave the U.S.?
Where? Yeah.
To what other?
Yeah, exactly. Where else are you gonna go if the U.S. is great and it's a capitalist country and you have a great life here? So what do you hate about capitalism?
Well, what do we hate about capitalism? That's a very good, interesting question. I feel like a lot of countries, not just the U.S., are capitalist. Question.
Here we go.
Well, what do we hate about capitalism? That's a very good, interesting question. I feel like a lot of countries, not just the U.S., are capitalistic and Well, what do you say?
How does Bolivia sound, or Cuba, or Venezuela? How come you don't go there?
Well, I feel like these other countries like Venezuela and Cuba have also. It's because these are products of a deeper issue. It's not that these countries are like communism. How do I explain this? How would you explain this, Tony?
The crowd is now chanting F Donald Trump. Would you guys please make sure?
Weird. Almost as if they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. He asked his buddy, and even his buddy had no idea what the fuck they were talking about. They're just there. They're just there. Give me a second. Sorry, JLP.
Here we go. Fox News alert, Marines arriving in Los Angeles and joining the National Guard as anti-ICE protests continue for the fifth day, defying a curfew put in place by the mayor.
Jonathan Hunt is live on the ground in L.A. with the latest for us. Jonathan?
Like I said, I was watching some of the LA stuff from last night on Crowder's show, or was it AP? No, it was AP. And it was 30 minutes after curfew had started in Los Angeles, and they already had like maybe 20 to 30 people detained and zip cuffed, ready to put on the bus to the jail. And that was LAPD. The only reason they're Bass. Every time I say Bauer, I keep thinking DC. But Mayor Bass did the curfew is because of the backlash. because of what's going on, and because businesses were getting attacked, because these peaceful protests weren't peaceful. Huh.
Ainsley, Lawrence, Brian, good morning to you. We are once again this morning outside the Metropolitan Detention Center, which has been ground zero for a lot of the protests and riots. And we want to give you a quick look at that. As you can see, National Guard troops are covering the entrance to the Metropolitan Detention Center. And as you look just behind them, you can see one of those white transport buses that have been used to bring in some of the arrested illegal immigrants into and out of this facility. And it was when in one of
So when I was in
those
Iraq, we had to get from Camp Liberty, BIOP, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the big complex, to the Green Zone. We had a bus called the Rhino. The Rhino was an up-armored bus. I wonder if that was modeled after the Rhinos.
Buses moved yesterday afternoon, that the first clashes of the day really began. Police decided at that point, after having a couple of bottles thrown at officers who were escorting that bus, that they needed to push the protesters back. The protesters threw some fireworks at some point. They continued to throw bottles and rocks at the officers, so they pushed them back pretty strongly. There was once again just one more scene that really riled up the president, and he took again to X this morning to say that this is all the fault of California Governor Gavin Newsom. President Trump writing on Truth Social, the incompetent governor of California was unable to provide protection in a timely manner when our ICE officers, great patriots they are, were attacked by an out-of-control mob of agitators, troublemakers, and/or insurrectionists. Make America great again. Now, it's as a result of all of these riots that we've seen and the looting on top of that, that Mayor Karen Bass of LA introduced an 8 p.m. curfew last night. As that curfew began,
if you're going to protest against
protesters
ICE raids,
once again tried to shut down the 101 freeway, which is the main artery running right through the heart of downtown Los Angeles. Police again moved in after the protesters cut through fences to get on to the 101. They started rounding them up. As we understand it, something like 67 arrests were made in all. And as all of this was unfolding last night, Governor Gavin Newsom decided to deliver his own address. It was very much in a presidential style, no doubt, with an eye to 2028. And Gavin Newsom once again took the Trump administration to task. Listen here.
This administration is pushing mass deportations, indiscriminately targeting hardworking immigrant families, regardless of their roots or risk. What's happening right now is...
But not their immigration status. When I say deport them all, I literally mean deport them all. You know, if one of my family members was here illegally, how much do I get for turning them in? If they've been here long enough to go through the fucking process, that's on them. Like I keep saying, that's a them problem, not a me problem. I know the process. I know how long the process takes. I know all the paperwork the process takes. I know how much the process takes. If they can do it, so can everyone else. Oh, but we're seeking asylum. No, the fuck you're not. No, you're not. The fuck out of here. Asylum from what? Honduras ain't that bad. Hell, you've got a military base down there. From what, Mexico? I thought Mexico's so great. What are you escaping from? Venezuela? Well, we know why you want to leave Venezuela, because they told you to, because all the criminals are now gone. Same with El Salvador. But why do we have people coming from China, Sudan? Fuck, I just got a brain fart. I'm surprised we haven't had any North Korean people coming through border illegally. That would be something interesting. But then again, if they're from North Korea, Kim Jong-un might have them castrated for even thinking about leaving the country.
is very different than anything we've seen before.
And guys, we're just less than 1 hour from this first curfew being lifted now, and we'll wait to see if the protesters come back onto the streets of LA today. Back to you guys.
Jonathan, for the most part, when do you start seeing this stirring? I mean, here it is, 5 in the morning there. When do you start seeing the stirring of the protesters? What time roughly?
Usually, Brian, the protesters start gathering around 10, 11 in the morning, so we're about 5 hours from that point. So that's when we would expect to see them. We have not. We're checking all the social media channels, as always, to see where and how they are organizing. I have not seen any calls for them to get out on the streets as of yet today, but it's very early here in LA.
Jonathan, I always wonder, how can someone spend day after day protesting? Don't they have jobs? Don't they have to go make money? But then we're learning that maybe some of them are getting paid to do this.
$200 a day.
Yeah, there is certainly organization behind these protests. And you've heard the LAPD chief, Jim McDonnell, say quite plainly the people causing the violence, causing the real problems here, have nothing to do with the cause of immigration.
Oh.
They are, in the words of the police chief, professional anarchists.
You don't say.
The police here have seen during the George Floyd riots, during the anti-Wall Street riots, and so on
I
and so on.
wonder if good old Corey Lemley is going to have his little Antifa group hanging out in Nashville. Remember me, Corey Lemley, the guy you ran from?
These are the same characters, according to the police chief, who keep coming out and have nothing on their minds but violence and mayhem.
Hippity.
Right, not even embedded in the cause. It's just doing chaos. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you got the homeless nonprofit. A homeless nonprofit is handing out PPE for people, as is the LA Poverty Department. Healthy Hearts, you would think, is there for people who need to eat. Instead, they're wading into left-wing politics. They're looked at as a left-wing group supporting them. In Charlotte, the Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights not only got $1 million from Joe Biden's DHS, but also takes money from the Chinese. They're all over it, and Republicans are investigating 200 NGOs that might be promoting these illegal immigrants.
Well, it's the ideology as well, Ainsley. You got people in the kafiyas, pro-Hamas rhetoric that is there. I don't know what that has to do with immigration, but they're promoting that as well. And then I even heard some of the protesters with some of the interviews saying, okay, we have the Mexican flag here because this is really Mexico. So, I mean, we're dealing with people that don't believe in the West, that don't believe in America, that's trying to take us back in time. And there are connections to these NGO groups.
About it. Are any of these Mexicans real Mexicans, or are they colonized Mexicans by Spain? That's a real question. I guarantee you 90% of them that say they're Mexican are the colonized Mexicans.
And all of these activist
Yeah,
groups.
and NGO groups, your tax dollars. Remember when Elon was starting Doge and he said all the
I
money
know,
we're
Corey. That's when I first realized that these heads of Antifa, because this guy claimed to be the head of the Nashville Antifa group, apparently he didn't like me. I didn't like him. But I am very vocal. And he tried to say I was racist. And I was like, okay, dude, you're the white guy. But then again, I was 5 years younger than I am today.
given to NGOs. We don't know where that money goes. We don't know how they spend the money, but that's American dollar. Those are American dollars. And President Trump was speaking at Fort Bragg. He said,
I think that was back when I was still using my real name.
I think you should go to prison for a year if you burn the American flag.
Well, look at this upside down, which shows
But I went to Nashville.
This is yesterday,
protest.
too.
It didn't work
so they have
out.
not wised up. You're not going to win over the American public.
That's why I remember his name.
With Mexican flags in Los Angeles. Kyle Scheidler he's with the Center for Security Policy, and he joined us early to talk about what's going into the planning behind this and where does this money go. Listen.
We have a lot of smaller groups who usually cover themselves as community organizations that do a lot of the crowdfunding to pay for this kind of equipment. You know, those masks that they were showing, they go for about $35 on Amazon. So they're not overly expensive, and they can raise several $1,000s
there's
pretty
some
quickly.
people will tell you that some of the money raised through Act Blue is going towards this as well. Not just paying candidates to get elected, illegally, by the way, through multiple small dollar donations from the same people. Sometimes 20 to 25 a day. If y'all haven't seen the Act Blue scandal, Alex did one. Project Veritas, back when O'Keefe was in charge, they ran it. And there's still people that run these Act Blue exposures. And when they take it to the people who've been donating, the people that their names and are being used, the money's not coming out of their accounts, but they at least donated a few times to Act Blue. But it makes it look like they've donated thousands and thousands when maybe they donated 100.
My guess is that they've been preparing to do this since before Donald Trump was president. The strategy, the overall strategy, the political imagery, that stuff will be.
And you imagine USAID funds went away and they went to NGOs. The same NGOs that were helping illegal immigrants come across the border and, well, get fake documents, helping them to move to other states, letting 500,000 kids come across the border, and letting them disappear.
Determined in advance what the topic is that they want this to be done on, and we knew that they were going to do this on border security and immigration for some time.
This online yesterday, and this is from Barack Obama in his book, The Audacity, Hope, in 26. He said, if I'm honest with myself, I must admit that I'm not entirely immune to such nativist sentiments when I see Mexican flags waved at pro-immigration demonstrations. Sometimes I feel a flush of patriotic resentment when I'm forced to use a translator to communicate with the guy fixing my car. I feel a certain frustration. Now, that's Barack Obama back then. And then you look at the Democratic Party today. I mean, he would be considered MAGA with a quote like that from his book. His party has totally lost it right now.
Well, and did you see on social media, I think we have a picture of it, the tactical gear that they're giving out to people who are rioting, and it's advertised on social media.
There it is. There it is.
These are all the supplies you get if you go out there, according to Operation Healthy Hearts, which was that organization you were talking about, Brian.
Legal aid, travel, hotel stays, all that money and those equipment, money goes into these organizations and they're given out to the rioters. And guess who's firmly behind them? Gavin Newsom, who looks at Trump as the problem. Attorney General Pam Bondi is coming up in 10 minutes.
Can't wait for that. Fox News alert: California Governor Gavin Newsom is blaming President Trump for the riots in Los Angeles after a judge rejected Newsom's motion to block the Marines and National Guard from deploying.
This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. California may be first, but it clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes.
But the president says federal troops are helping save the city.
Called him up to tell him, got to do a better job. He's doing a bad job, causing a lot of death and a lot of potential death. If we didn't send out the National Guard, and last night we gave him a little additional help, you would have, Los Angeles would be burning right now.
All right, let's see what came to my door. Oh, where is my mouse? So, what is the kingdom of God? What the Bible says, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed. Okay, I could get with that. But we're not a kingdom because remember, we have no King's Days coming up. Oh, shit. A son has been given to us and the government will rest on his shoulders. Well, you can see how good the government is. Verse 2, done. But I was pretty nice. I didn't talk bad about them. I did talk bad about Jews. It's on my door cam.
United States Attorney General Pam Bondi. Madam Attorney General, thanks so much for joining the program.
Thanks, Lawrence.
So tell me about this lawsuit, and what do you make of the governor blaming the president for the actions
Wait a
of
minute.
illegals in this?
Aren't Jehovah's Witnesses bad? I mean, am I wrong?
But these are paid.
Here we go. Who ran this story? Mr. Regan. So this is about the funding. Also, remember, so we're going to talk about a few people that are funding these protests. And obviously we know NGOs, USAID, maybe even Walmart. There is a billionaire from China as well. There are a bunch of socialist organizations out are funding these things because it's literally on their fucking poster boards. But that's besides the point.
Paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money.
The ICE protesters are pure evil.
Mr. Reagan.
All right, before we start, I've got a great new sponsor for the show, Gold Co. If you want to diversify your portfolio, protect your savings, safeguard your retirement, try investing in gold with Gold Co. At least they were at the years. There is a twisted irony playing out in Los Angeles right now. Masked protesters are throwing bricks at police, burning cars, and looting stores, or at least they were at the time I recorded this video. These rioters claim that they're standing up for innocent families, but ICE isn't rounding up your neighbor who overstayed his visa. They're not grabbing the lady who cleans houses to feed her kids. They're arresting violent criminals, people with murder charges, sexual assault convictions, gang affiliations. According to ICE's own data, over 75% of those arrested in these targeted operations have prior criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. Leftists think that these protesters are heroes, but they're not. These so-called protesters are actually protecting predators. They are protecting the worst scum imaginable. And the irony about all of this, the truth that you will not hear from the mainstream.
I tell you, I've been getting censored a lot on X when I go on to comment on these politicians that are talking about this. And then when I mention that a lot of them get their donations from Israel, now my comments are getting limited. Especially on like Mark Kelly, Jasmine Crotchet, Chuck Schumer.
Nightly news report. The victims of these illegal alien criminals are primarily other illegal aliens. So when these idiots protest ICE, when they block federal agents from doing their jobs, they're not protecting grandmothers and children. They're protecting the monsters who prey on grandmothers and children. When a twice deported sex offender targets children in an immigrant neighborhood, those parents are often afraid to call the police. They're scared that they might get deported themselves. So the predator keeps hunting. The rapist keeps raping. The killer keeps killing. These protesters are literally protecting the worst criminals in America. As I'm sure you've heard, Trump has now authorized 2,000 California National Guard troops to move in and protect federal buildings because local leaders have refused to do their jobs. This was the first time since the 1960s that a president federalized the National Guard without the governor's consent. Gavin Newsom, the clown governor of California,
sometimes when I see this
called
guy,
this
I think of what's that dude's name? The guy that created Family Guy. This is who I think of when I hear this guy.
National Guard deployment reckless.
He's acting recklessly. He's acting unlawfully. He's putting people's lives at risk. And it's my job to clean up Donald Trump's mess.
You know what's actually reckless, Gavin? Letting a sexual predator continue hunting children because you're too woke to let ICE do their job. Newsom announced that California will sue the Trump administration. He called the Guard deployment unlawful, and he's framed the riots as entirely Donald Trump's fault. He says Donald Trump wants a war in the streets.
They help create these conditions to inflame them. This is Donald Trump's mess. We'll hold them, everybody, to a higher level of accountability, but that's not...
One more thing about this, and I said this yesterday, I don't know if I really got into it. A lot of this protests, if you think back to 2001, once 9/11 happened right around 2002, they enacted the Patriot Act. Mass surveillance on American citizens. Fast forward a few later, we have the FISA courts, mass surveillance on American citizens. And then 2025, we have Palantir, another company that's going to be used for mass surveillance for our safety and our protection. This could all be the part of the plan. Anybody that is for mass surveillance and mass data collection, that's a problem. And we know both sides are for this. Because who started the Patriot Act? Republicans. Who did the FISA courts? Democrats. Who's doing Palantir? Donald Trump.
What Trump is after, he's not for peacemaking. He's here for war. He wants a civil war on the streets of America, not just here. He's testing the boundaries by nationalizing the federal guard. These are acts of authoritarians. Period. Full stop.
Federalizing the National Guard. I don't know if you know this, but what's the first word in National Guard? It's national. Let's take the root of the word national. Nation. Not state, not California, national.
Newsom would rather have violent criminals roaming free than admit Trump is right about anything. Karen Bass, the mayor of LA, she's not just a leftist, she's an actual communist. In the 1970s, she traveled to Cuba to harvest sugarcane for Fidel Castro. She was part of the Venceremos Brigade, a Marxist organization. And when Castro died, she said, "It's a great loss to the people of Cuba." Sure, tell that to my buddy's father, who literally escaped Cuba to come to the U.S. I'm sure he would agree with you. This woman, Karen Bass, who literally worked for a communist dictator, is now ordering the LAPD not to cooperate.
And a lot of these revolutionaries are fans of Che Guevara. If they are fans of Che Guevara, I want you to let all their black friends know. Because if they know anything about Che Guevara, they wouldn't be friends with him.
Cooperate with ICE, even when they are arresting child predators. She knows that these are violent criminals that ICE is deporting, but she doesn't care because in her Marxist worldview, criminals are just victims of the system.
If immigration raids had not happened here, we would not have the disorder that went on last night. And knowing that in a city like Los Angeles, and we had talked about this for a long time, that has a very sophisticated long-term immigrant rights organizations and institutions, that if these random raids were going to happen, then there was going to be the danger of a backlash. And you add on to that the National Guard, and it felt like fuel for a fire that was unnecessary.
In 2017, the New York Times published an article titled "Too Scared to Report Sexual Abuse." In this article, they interviewed a woman named Christina, whose husband beat her and threatened her for years. She finally got the courage to report him, but then she backed out because she feared deportation. She said, "I'm scared that they'll find me." This is the nature of illegal immigrant communities all over the world. These communities naturally...
Just because, if Yeti's still here, we're going to show you the picture of Karen Bass when she wakes up. Bingo. Karen Bass. You like that? You like that. And it's the law offices of Jeff Henniger. That's weird that they're using a picture of that guy for their... All right.
Become hunting grounds for predators. These are places where violent men beat their wives, rape women, abuse children, and they know their victims will not call for help. This is actually exacerbated by the sanctuary city phenomenon, where leftist DAs often neglect to prosecute illegal aliens. Now victims are even less incentivized. A criminal that they turned in discovers that they ratted them out. Well, he might just get deported out of the realm of the living. And so here's something the mainstream media will never tell you. Some illegal aliens actually support ICE raids. It only makes sense. If you see your family and friends being exploited by criminals and Homan is out there rounding them up, it's a rational thing to tip off ICE. That's why the tip line is anonymous. 866-347-2423. And there is a website, ice.gov/tipline. Super easy to remember. So you better believe that a lot of their tips are coming from illegal aliens themselves. But the media will never investigate that news story. They don't want you to hear from the illegal immigrant mother whose daughter was raped by an illegal alien criminal. They don't want you to hear from the construction worker whose cousin was murdered by MS-13. Those voices would destroy the narrative. My brother actually had an interesting idea the other day. He said, what if we leaked the location of the next ICE raid? Make it somewhere strategic, like a rock quarry. And then when these protesters all show up and interfere, we just round them up and process them for obstruction. Maybe we even check their immigration status while we're at it. This would probably only work once or twice before they copped on, but it would at least expose the percentage of protesters that are actually illegal aliens, how many are fake paid agitators, and it would unmask a few of these Antifa thugs. I say, let's do it. It's worth a shot. And my dad, he's got a great idea how to end all of this immediately. It's so simple, yet brilliant. I'll get into that, and I'll tell you who's really behind all of these riots in one moment. First, of course, I have to talk about my amazing sponsor. Do you ever feel like your body's stress switch is permanently stuck in the on position? Stress much on. Full 300 through it. Use the code. You will make.
I don't get paid to advertise for them.
Executive order making it illegal for protesters to wear masks. Then push Congress to make it permanent. If you're protesting for a legitimate cause, a cause you genuinely believe in, why do you need to hide your face? The only reason to wear a mask at a protest is because you're planning to do something illegal. Or maybe you're here illegally yourself. Or you're a federal agent running a psyop. And yeah, it would completely destroy fake white nationalist groups like Patriot Front that stage psyop protests to make conservatives look bad. You know who else wore masks to avoid accountability? The KKK. And we already have anti-mask laws in many states from when we were fighting the Klan. So, Democrats should really support this, unless they're admitting that they're on the same side as the KKK, which historically would be accurate. Seriously, though, we have a real problem in America with violent protesters, fake paid protesters, and psyops. A ban would end all of that. And these protests, these riots in LA, this whole thing, it's far more sinister than you might imagine. The amazing X account Data Republican just exposed the powerful players behind these protests. Multiple NGOs are involved. This is not grassroots. This is not spontaneous. This is a coordinated, funded operation. These rioters are not just concerned citizens. These are paid agitators.
But these are paid insurrectionists. These are paid troublemakers. They get money.
To block ICE vehicles, to protect rapists and murderers from deportation. Take a look at the signs that these protesters are holding.
There it is.
Some of them are handwritten, okay, but most of them are printed. And they were designed by an organization called the Party for Socialism and Liberation. PSL is a communist political party. And their primary funding source is even more sinister. A billionaire named Neville Singham. This guy actively pushes Chinese propaganda around the globe. He gave over $20 million to these groups, the same ones behind the Columbia University protests. And then there's CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights of Los Angeles. And here's the really messed up thing about them. This organization is funded by the California state government. $34 million in California government grants. They also got some federal tax money. So American tax dollars are literally funding the riots. What's happening in Los Angeles is not a protest. It's a playbook. And when you trace the players, the money, the tactics, it matches almost exactly the blueprint of color revolutions used in foreign nations to topple governments. Except this time, it's happening here. And it's funded with your tax dollars. Data Republican made the following astute observation. She wrote, flags...
I think the difference between these color revolutions happening across the world as opposed to happening here, our citizens own way more guns than those countries. Pretty sure we own the most personally owned weapons in the entire world.
Are an important part of engineered color revolutions. On the other hand, the Babylon Bee had a pretty good take. They wrote, illegal immigrants helpfully wave flags so that ICE knows where to send them. The mainstream media characterizes the ICE raids as some kind of humanitarian crisis. They interview activists, but they never interview the victims of the criminals. They never show the American families destroyed by drunk drivers who have been deported 5 times. They never talk to the young girls trafficked by the cartels, because these things do not fit their narrative. The narrative is that ICE agents are jackbooted thugs, ripping apart loving families, and that these protests are organic expressions of community outrage, and that opposing illegal immigration is racist. The reality is that ICE is removing violent predators who terrorize their own communities, and that these riots are orchestrated by literal communists using our tax dollars, and that the primary victims of illegal alien criminals are other illegal aliens. What Donald Trump, Tom Homan, and ICE are doing is not just good for American citizens, it's actually good for illegal aliens too. And what the protesters are doing is evil. Well, that's it for me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. And remember, it's not that all liberal friends are ignorant.
I mean, it's amazing. With the way these things are funded, you know our politicians are on board with it. The same politicians that are coming out saying, this is a constitutional crisis. These are bullies. They're taking kids away from their families. They're taking parents away from their families. They're separating families. They're just here for a better life. You mean to get away from their criminal past? Not all of them are doing that, but so far 70% of the arrests have been prior deportations and have criminal records in both their home country as well as the United States. But they don't care about that. It's not about the safety of you. It's not about the safety of me. It's not about the safety of people that love America. It's for the safety of people that hate America and that wish America would become their home country. It makes no sense to me. But maybe I'm just, a low IQ Asian, and I'm only supposed to be good at math, which, by the way, I'm terrible at math.
This isn't seeing rampant looting, this is just undocumented shopping. As first, they looted the Jordan stores of its sneakers, then snuck in Zara to steal some cheap clothes, moving on to the Apple store to steal some phones. Even though they already know, once stolen, the devices are completely useless.
Morons.
So they went back to the Adidas store to steal some sweatpants.
You think they're going to wear Adidas if they know that Adidas helped fund the Nazis? Okay, maybe they didn't. But they were built out of a Nazi factory. I meant founded.
That'll sure teach those sneaker stores to not deploy the feds into their neighborhoods. And in case you're wondering what stealing cell phones and sneakers accomplishes that looting work boots or textbooks don't, we solved that in an earlier episode.
Why do you think bookstores were never looted and robbed during BLM riots?
Because black people, we enjoy education.
Oh, they weren't.
They weren't. That's the point. Why would we loot bookstores?
Because they have education.
That only sounds stupid because it is stupid. As the looters don't care if you're a multinational corporation or just some locally owned jewelry store.
Oh, they're in.
It's crazy if they don't know. If they went to these bookstores, right, and they got all these medical textbooks that cost $80 to $100, sometimes $250 a book, resell them on Amazon, that's a ton of money you can make. And they're books, so not like everybody's gonna be like, well, where did you get the book? Maybe I just had the book.
They're in. Oh.
And as this street journalist was just recording the looting in public, these peaceful protesters beat him. They even tried to rob Nick Shirley in broad daylight.
That didn't work out for him.
And attacking anybody the mob didn't like.
They're chasing a MAGA. They're apparently trying to attack.
So much for being peaceful people, as sadly the attacks weren't even the worst part about this. It's the looting that's likely the most damaging, where local business owners are losing everything.
But it is the small, the mom and pop businesses that have also been looted. Nimat, I mean, you have tears in your eyes of what they've done to your business.
Very bad. That it is 1 week is a riot, and people of the transgender or other things, and they close the business, and nobody can come inside.
With several such cases.
I have no idea what he said.
All because the Democrats decided that President Trump can't get a win, so let's pretend we don't have a riot on our hands and sacrifice the entire life's work of actual Americans. As some locations were lucky and LAPD was nearby.
Get him. Before you get a picture perfect steer. Oh no.
But what the heck does looting a sushi restaurant have to do with anything?
What? What the fuck are they gonna steal from there? Raw fish?
They must have heard that sushi's served with ice and just started smashing.
Ah.
As that's Otoro Sushi in Little Tokyo. They're run by Japanese chefs from Japan and only have 3 locations that can only stay open 5 days a week for 5 hours a day. So I wouldn't be surprised if their profit margins were so razor thin they could never open again. But sadly, the Democrats aren't interested in protecting those type of immigrants. They'll only bend over backwards to defend them and their makeshift mortars, letting them peacefully beat the crap out of each other in the streets, and even pop off a couple paintball rounds at the police lines. As the left-wing news media first claimed, they're just having fun watching cars burn.
What is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into...
With Democrat Congresswoman declaring there was no violence.
There was no violence. I was on the street. I know.
And now stating it's just the exuberance of the moment.
Careful whether you see a burned car or broken window or whatever it is. It may be the exuberance of the moment.
How fiery but mostly peaceful.
What if I was protesting and I went to a congressman's house and their car is parked in the street and I just busted out the windows and lit it on fire because I wanted to have fun? How would that fly? Just having fun, as long as it's just a car or a window.
Became the exuberance of the moment is just a prime example of how stupid they think their voter base is, as anybody actually paying attention knows what's really going on, and no matter how many times they ask ChatGPT to rephrase their lies, it can't change the fact that they've officially lost the city, somehow thinking that this will stop the raids.
Stop with the ICE raids. If ICE shows up, do not resist, claim your rights. Shh, stay silent.
Hey, you! The guy that's about to write something disgusting in my comment section.
Stop it. Get some help.
But the Democrats' plan to stop the riots was even dumber.
But the real solution of all of this is for the administration to stop the raids.
Doubling down on that statement.
We need to stop the raids. This should not be happening in our city. The only thing it does is contribute to chaos. This was chaos that was started at Washington, D.C.
It's crazy how she's literally asking Trump to let the rioters hold the city hostage and tell...
Another Asian that's for ICE raids and deportations. Interesting.
Gives into their demands of not enforcing our country's laws, basically admitting she cannot control the city, all the more reason that the military needs to come in and save it. But now their argument against Trump restoring order to the city is that the deployment of the National Guard and Marines will cost $134 million, conveniently forgetting that California already spends $8.4 billion, or over 800% more, on health benefits for undocumented residents this year alone. It's that same argument of building a wall is too expensive, so let's just load 10 times that amount on EBT accounts to hand out. So I'm glad our ICE director doesn't care and will continue the raids.
As a matter of fact, we got over 100 teams out today enforcing immigration law, and we're going to flood the zone. I've said for a month, sanctuary cities, you don't want us to arrest these bad guys that you just listed out. We could arrest them in the safety and security of a county jail, but they won't let us into jail. They release them into the community, which means we got to send a whole bunch of teams in the community to find this dangerous person that don't want to be found.
So if anything, the raids in LA have only increased in frequency, proudly posting whatever they make an arrest, as I really think Holman knows. Either way, he's gonna get bad press, so might as well go all in on completing the mission. The problem is, like what initiated this in Minneapolis, where apparently the rioters mistook a drug bust for an ICE raid, and even to today, Reddit is out there warning their communities of ICE activity, even if it turns out just to be the local police fulfilling a student's Make-A-Wish dream with their SWAT team. And even when the original poster was corrected, they still stood by their warning that ICE could have been in the area, with other Redditors agreeing this was a good thing. They literally couldn't be any dumber if they tried, which makes me truly believe in the dead internet theory, as Reddit is likely just AI bots talking to AI bots, talking to anybody dumb enough to not notice they're talking to bots, talking to a couple foreign agents pushing an anti-American agenda. But ironically, and also tragically, probably the only thing that could save Los Angeles, California is Chinese President Xi, as all he has to say is, hey, I'm dropping by LA tomorrow. And just like when he visited San Francisco, it would immediately be cleaned up.
Folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true, because it's true.
And again, as of recording this video, it keeps getting worse for him, where LA implemented a curfew that nobody is listening to. Protests have spread up to Seattle, all the way over to New York City, and in Chicago, they just had to deploy the bomb squad into their sewers. So make sure you're subscribed, as it's about to get spicy. Don't doom scroll on social media.
Yeah, decoy voice is on point.
Let's go back to our breaking.
All right, so this isn't. No, I don't want this one. All right, those you don't know. Actually, I don't care about this one either. Now, what happens if you're in? I believe this is New York. Let me double check before I. No, this is Los Angeles. So what happens if you're in Los Angeles and all of a sudden you punch a federal agent and think you're going to get away with it? Oh. Oh. Wait, what's going on? Relax, guys. It's not real good.
Hey, yeah, we can cancel the MS-11 if they want. Yeah, we'll just get that. Yeah, this is right now. So, dear,
I thought you were Billy Badass, bro.
he's acting normal right now. They're not crying. That makes them effective. We're going to take his front range, check everything out.
Bet you Billy Badass is crying right about
But
now.
it's up to you guys. We have the numbers coming, so it's up to you. And they said they took the driver.
ISIS here on Indiana and Whittier.
Dude thought he was going to get away with it because he had his wife and his kid in the car. Come on, man. Hiding behind them is just a coward thing. At least they didn't tow the guy's car. Look at that blue hair. No way you're Hispanic.
Immigration here.
Don't be mad at ICE. Your husband made that decision.
Well, can you help me with the seat? Can you help me with that? Ask for their badge numbers, their serial numbers.
Federal agents don't have to give you badge numbers. A lot of times, even local police don't if it's not in their policy.
What's your name and badge number? Let me see what the fuck it is. What's your badge number name? Exactly. You guys can't fucking give that shit, bro. Don't worry. Like, how do we fight section? I'm from an organization called Centro CSO, and we come out here and we call people.
Donald Trump said, you spit on them, they hit back.
Austin, 4 police officers were injured and
Remember, these mostly peaceful protests, this is in Austin yesterday.
13 people were arrested by Austin police and the Texas Department of Public Safety officers during last night's protest. Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis says 3 officers were injured after very large rocks were thrown at them. We do have live team coverage of the protest tonight with CBS Austin's Michael.
Let me get this straight. You can take rocks, you can take Molotov cocktails, you can take whatever you can find on the fucking street, and you can throw them. Throw them at people just doing their jobs and expect no consequences. I mean, what makes them think in a world they can do this? Then again, we do live in a country where if you're not a Republican, well, some Republicans are. But when they say no one's above the law, they caveat that. If you're illegal, if you're a Democrat, if you're attacking police, then you're totally above law. If you're raping kids, some states, you are above the law. If you get caught with child pornography, in some states, you are above the law, and they won't take your phone.
Adkison has more on that bill that was sent to Governor Abbott's desk that could crack down on protesting. But we begin tonight with CBS Austin's Betty Cross. Betty, you're at the Federal Building in downtown Austin. That's where most of the damage happened.
That's right. Last night, the front of the J.J. Pickle Federal Building was covered with graffiti. But if you look behind me, you can see it has all been removed now. The windows are clean. But the only damage remaining is to that one door that is now boarded up.
You know, the people that are cleaning like these
were deployed after multiple warnings last night to disperse anti-ICE protesters in downtown Austin. Austin police and DPS say what started as a peaceful protest became more contentious after protesters spray-painted graffiti on the J.J. Pickle Federal Building and 2 people were arrested.
3 officers were injured by rocks being thrown at the crowd, and these were large, very large rocks.
Austin police say a 4th officer suffered a shoulder injury while making an arrest. All the officers were treated and released from the hospital. APD arrested 8 protesters who face a variety of charges, including criminal mischief, harassment of a public servant, resisting arrest, and failure to obey a lawful order. The Texas Department of Public Safety made 5 additional arrests for felony criminal mischief and resisting arrest.
It is a fundamental right to protest.
Is that the same thing they were supposed to charge January 6ers with, but they never charged them with anything but kept them in jail for 4 years? Oh.
However, when that protest turns violent, when it turns to throwing rocks, throwing bottles at officers, at other members of the public and community, that will not be tolerated. Arrests will be made.
The protesters at the Federal Building say they're part of a decentralized, anonymous movement who say they support confrontation in the most legal means possible.
Change will only happen when we keep putting pressure on the people in power. The police, ICE, the politicians, everyone. We have to actually stand our ground and go beyond just words.
Chief Lisa Davis says officers relied on drones and pepper ball projectiles during last night's protest. DPS also deployed tear gas. APD expects more protest on Saturday.
You're going to be seeing an increase in visibility of officers. We will be at 100% staffing for officers this weekend.
Now, Chief Davis says officers will be in the crowd on Saturday wearing special light blue colored vests. They're going to be doing something that they call dialogue policing.
Why the fuck would you say that? If they're wearing vests, they might think they're event organizers. You stupid bitch.
And that's their way of letting the crowd know the law and what officers will and will not tolerate. Reporting live in front of the federal
That's
building.
making them a
Betty
target.
Cross, CBS Austin News.
All right, so this one, actually, I watched this morning. I knew this was coming. Now, whether or not Donald Trump says, don't do this, and then continues to help in the push for this confrontation, would make no sense if we did jump in on this, other than the fact that, well, maybe Israel is our puppet master. Right? If Donald Trump's trying to make these deals with all these Arab nations to bring peace, to include Iran, why is there one country, who's not even a real country, out there going against him when they're supposed to be allies?
Morning and welcome to Rising. We have a great show for you today. As always, I'm Amber Duke, back at the desk again with Niall Stanage. Good morning.
Great to join you for a second day in succession. Second day of 3, Amber, so I'm enjoying this spell.
Absolutely, me too. All right to the news then. Israel is poised to launch an attack on Iran, multiple outlets are reporting.
President Trump said recently that he had warned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu not to strike Iran, while the US was in the process of negotiating a nuclear deal.
As a result of the escalating tensions, the US is authorizing military family members to leave the Middle East and withdrawing diplomats from Iraq.
Here's President Trump last night on the situation.
Well, they are being moved out because it could be a dangerous place, and we'll see what happens. But they can't have a nuclear person. They can't have a nuclear. We're not going to allow that.
Iran's defense minister issued a warning to the US if conflict erupts after failed nuclear talks, saying, quote, America will have to leave the region because all its military bases are within our reach, and we will, without any consideration, target them in the host countries. A UN watchdog also ruled for the first time in 20 years that Iran was not complying with its nuclear proliferation obligations. Many on the right have been critical of a potential war with Iran. Daily Wire host Matt Walsh wrote on X, Iran does not pose any credible threat to the United States. We do not need to get involved in yet another war in the Middle East.
I agree.
For reasons that have nothing to do with defending our own nation. Meanwhile, from the left, editor-in-chief of Midas News, Ron Filipkowski, wrote, all this Iran stuff must be fake news because Trump said no new wars would happen and that he would prevent all potential conflicts with his strong leadership and superior negotiating skills. Well, before we get into the Trumpian element of all of this, pretty ominous news, I would say, the suggestion that Israel might strike Iran. It is being reported by multiple outlets. There have been these moves by the US to move its personnel away from Iraq in fear of a potential Iranian reprisal if the Israelis hit Iran. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm deeply concerned, obviously, from the reports that we've been seeing. There's unconfirmed reports as well that Israeli military aircraft have been spotted over Iraq on their way to Iran. I really hope that this is not the case, but the Washington Post reported recently that the U.S. has become increasingly concerned.
So as someone who spent a majority of his military career fighting in the Middle East, we do not need to get involved, period. We do not need to get involved in any foreign wars that have no vested interest in the United States of America whatsoever. We need to worry about what's going on here before we start worrying about what's going on over there. Israel is starting this, just like they did in Palestine. Well, I guess you can say October 7th, but like I said before, that might have been a joint operation. Because how can you tell me one of the most sophisticated intel agencies in the world didn't see it coming? Tell me how they didn't see it coming. Get the fuck out of here.
That Israel is going to strike Iran without U.S. permission and potentially embroil us in this conflict. So I'm glad that the State Department is taking steps to make sure that our assets are moving out of harm's way if that is the case. But I think this is just an increasing signal from Israel that they are going to continue pushing for war with Iran. They obviously have a right to be concerned about nuclear proliferation, but the U.S. is in the middle of negotiations right now, and they have the potential to blow all of that up, for lack of a better analogy, if they decide to go ahead and preemptively strike while Donald Trump and his diplomatic team are trying to find some peaceful way out of this potential conflict.
Yeah, I think all of that is correct. I think it is interesting in relation to the Iran talks. The administration has said that Steve Witkoff, the negotiator in the Middle East, is going to continue to meet with Iranian negotiators as they try to get some kind of deal. Whether that deal will be successfully obtained or not is a very different question. But it's interesting to me that Witkoff and by extension Trump are keeping these talks going with the Iranians, even as it appears, at least, that Israel could be on the brink of striking Iran. To me, I mean, it points obviously to a divergence of a kind between Israel and the United States. And also, you know, quite frankly, I think one of perhaps our more uncommon points of agreement is the United States provides Israel with just this absolute avalanche of military aid. I think during the year after October 7th, it was about $17 billion. This was, of course, under the Biden administration, but aid continues and has continued over decades. And to be the recipient of that amount of American aid and then appear to be on the brink of striking Iran in obvious contravention of American diplomatic wishes, as well as the risks of a wider war.
Why keep supporting Israel?
Unreasonable behavior, to put it mildly.
Yeah, indeed. And this is a new sort of cropping up of a way of thinking on the right in particular. I know the left has long been critical of Israel, but I think, you know, looking back at the presidential primary debates, Vivek Ramaswamy really kind of broke the Overton window for Republican politics when he questioned the amount of aid that the United States gives to Israel, and also suggested that's what's best for Israel is not always what's best for America. And I think if Israel goes ahead and goes rogue and does this strike, you're going to see a lot of people who already had skepticism about the U.S.'s relationship with that ally start to move into that camp of, okay, maybe we need to actually rethink our entire alliance here if we are providing them with so much of their capabilities, especially militarily and intelligence-wise.
You think Israel cares about civilians?
The U.S.
You really think they care about civilian casualties? Look what they've been doing to Gaza Strip. Telling people, hey, go this way for safety. Once they get there and they're in tents, they bomb those tents. They bomb hospitals. They were bombing schools. You think Israel cares about innocents?
Obviously gets a say to an extent of what Israel does with that money. Sure. And what are we going to do in response to make sure that they are held accountable for actively contravening the U.S. diplomacy?
Yeah, no, absolutely. On the point of the U.S. having a say, I mean, I was very critical here and elsewhere of the Biden
said they made $12 billion
off the
Israeli
response in Gaza, and what I considered a pathetic lack of effort to really impose or influence Israel in more, in less callous directions, as I would say it. The point, though, I think that you make about Ramaswamy and so on is interesting because of the fact that foreign policy, like, it's not actually set in stone forever. When now President Trump began running for the first time, he was very critical of George W. Bush and the war in Iraq. And I remember at the time it was like, oh, you can't win a Republican primary with those kinds of views. They'll be perceived as critical of the military or too dovish or whatever. But in fact, what happened was, even among the Republican electorate, I think there was a lot of weariness, partly because of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And people were, in fact, open to hearing that argument, even on the Republican side.
And I think there was a misunderstanding of what Reagan meant when he said peace through strength, where the neoconservative wing of the party thought that that meant you have to preemptively strike people, or you have to actually use force in occasions where people are testing you. And really, I think Trump kind of flipped that on its head and said, well, peace through strength can mean strong diplomacy. And of course, if there is a red line, then you hold people accountable for crossing that red line. But it doesn't necessarily have to mean that the U.S. is
Barack Obama
involved in
started that red
wars or
line.
has a president.
Shit. It means nothing. Because Syria crossed that red line and nothing happened.
Everywhere in the world, it's a much more complex situation, as it should be when you're looking at a realist foreign policy.
No, absolutely. And military intervention overseas have, in fact, depleted the strength. I mean, the Soviet Union in Afghanistan would be a good example, where overseas adventuring, in fact, depleted strength. We will move on because...
Especially when you sit back and, like I said, they have more to benefit from what they did on October 7th than anybody else. So did the U.S. on September 11th. We had more to benefit from that because we were able to start a global war on terrorism to cover up trillions missing from the Pentagon. War justifies missing money. Because you go to war, unlimited spending starts, and everything that happened in the past is forgotten. Maybe that's just the way I see it. But war is just, it's profitable. Just like I say, there's no peace in unity. I'm sorry. There's no profit in unity because you always have to be fighting somebody and somebody's backing that side. There's no profit in peace. Military-industrial complex would cease to exist. All right, so I need to take a piss. Obviously, it's been 2.5 hours since I've been talking and going over shit. So everybody go get, what time is it? Well, I guess you can start drinking. It's the afternoon. I'll be right back.
Hey, the ops try and make me hang it up like I'm Epstein. They was sleeping on me, now they fuck, that's a wet dream. Pull up to your school, nigga, look cool, do not test me. Try to rub a jet, please, take me to the island. Have massages and menages for an island. Feel like Aaron touchdown with a slight tan. Pack bass like I rock a pair of white Vans. White man pulling on your block in a white van. Like Jeffrey, the bills like Jeffrey. Tripping out with flipping off a pill like Jeffrey. For really be the case, let's make a deal like Jeffrey. I might eat his face and make a meal like Jeffrey. I just tryna make a band, but I'm not Diddy. I just tryna shoot my shot like I'm Josh Giddey. I'm a white boy, bitch, I bring the cops with me. Pull up on the ops with a mop, we gon' drop 50, smoke 'em dead. When I wake up early in the morning, it's on my head. Had to get this shit up out the mud, it was jail or dead. But somehow I'm the man, I guess God had a plan. I'll be damned if I'm broke, man, that poverty is crippling. I'm married to the game and the money, I'm polygamist. I think I'm Johnny Sins, how I'm coming at your chin again. Can't focus on your chicken, and you need to get some Ritalin. I'm trolling under bridges with the shit that I be riddling. Equivalent to Charlie Dan, got them bitches fiddling. The scripture I be scribbling to get it for my siblings. A sentimental winning just to print it in my ligaments and shit. And not coincidence, I had to get away. Back against the wall, I was sitting sideways. I remember lifting cushions and searching for dime days. Man, that homie is a pussy, I'm killing them 9 ways. Bow your head and pray. Wanna be my main squeeze, do you? Huh. You wanna get up in these jeans, do you? Do you wanna play up under the covers? I got some rubbers, don't be stubborn. I'm a southerner, loving you like your mother. Not to mention, I'm just hitting and getting up in your linen. Stop pretending I ain't spinning no bitches from the beginning. I'm winning, yes, I'm winning. I'm hungry, I got to get it. I got the elephant digging me head and I won't forget it. Whoa. The ops try and make me hang it up like I'm Epstein. They was sleeping on me, now they fuck, that's a wet dream. Pull up to your school, nigga look cool, do not test me. Try to rub a jet, please, take me to the island. Have massages and menages for an island. Feel like Aaron touchdown with a slight tan. Pack bass like I rock a pair of white Vans. White man pulling on your block in a white van.
Hey, free Jeff and Hannah. Shout out Andrew Brennan.
All right. Welcome back.
Here,
now,
let's
these
go
last
to
two things we're going to go over have nothing related to Israel, Palestine, riots, or anything like that. It is a pride festival in Florida. We're going to see two different influencers try to get into this pride festival. One makes it in, ends up getting kicked out because they found out who he is. The other one, they don't even let her in because of who she is. So I thought, LGBT was supposed to be inclusive. I thought they were supposed to love everybody. Well, as long as you are on their side, they love you.
So, Batty, we haven't even started the video here today, but we saw this beautiful sign. My hobby's protesting Trump, reading and going online for info. And she's got a sign here that says next national protest, June 14th. Details, mobilize.us. That's where you can go to find out more. So, what does this sign say? I hug trans people and it hasn't turned me trans. There you go. Read the dictionary. Socialism is not communism. That's right. That is absolutely right. And then we have Midas Touch, reports, news weeks.
Why does she have so many
traditional media?
Who are they going to?
Okay.
She's not going to hold all of them.
If you don't use your voice, others will use your silence. That's right. Silence is violence.
This is elder abuse.
It's fun until they take away your VA food stamps and all. So let me ask you a question.
My VA isn't going anywhere. It never has, never will. The VA that's going on right now is to benefit veterans. I don't know if you know that because you don't pay attention. I do. I get newsletters from the VA all the time. It's getting better for us. You stupid bitch.
Protesting with friends empowers your soul. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah?
We hate Donald Trump too. And I'm a brown person and she's a black person. And we're very worried every day that he's going to deport us because of our skin color.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's so important to be out here?
Why? Because I like studying history, psychology, sociology.
Do you?
I've been dealing with abusers and bullies my whole life.
Yep.
And when you're not around to pick on, they're coming after me. So
you think after they pick on the brown and the blacks, they're going to start picking on the white women?
The Trump, MAGA, and the Republican politicians and Republican SCOTUS members, judges, they are doing a fabulous job of following what Hitler did and Nazi Germany did.
Oh, did they?
And I have a question. If you had to choose who to vote for, and your options were...
I said fabulous job. That was in a negative manner.
Yeah, you were being facetious.
Yeah.
If you had to choose who to vote for, and your options were Adolf Hitler or Donald Trump, who would you choose? You had to vote for one of them. Who would you vote for?
They're equally as bad as each other.
And the part of this thought experiment, you have to choose one. Would you prefer to vote for Hitler, knowing he killed 6 million Jews? Or would you prefer to vote for Donald Trump, who's deporting illegals?
Actually, Hitler was killing off everybody who had with mental illnesses, disabilities. He went after anybody who was not a blonde Aryan.
So who would you pick, Donald Trump or Adolf Hitler, if you have to vote for one?
Okay.
That's not a hard question. You just gave examples why.
I would pick for the one who, when Hitler was around, Europe and everybody else, it was a new thing. They didn't really realize, they couldn't see the future, okay? Now we see the future. Canada, Germany, everybody sees the future.
You're saying Germany sees the future? Do you know where the Nazis were and where Hitler was in charge at? curious. Just curious, and that same country's building up its military again.
So we have a better chance, hopefully, of getting rid of Trump and ICE and everything.
But you got to pick one. If you had to vote, Trump and Hitler, who would you pick?
You can't pick any, because after they finish going after you, they're coming after me because I do not agree with Trump. They're coming after the dissidents.
So if I had to choose.
They didn't come after me from 2016 to 2020, and I was a very, very loud against President Trump at the time. And I always told people, I don't have to like the president. I don't. The policies, that's where I come and go. If I don't like your policies, obviously I'm going to disagree with you. Just like I don't agree with this $5 trillion budget debt ceiling increase. I don't agree with a 1,600-page, we'll just call it an omnibus, big, beautiful bill. Why do we have to vote on that entire bill when we should do single votes, single bill issues? That way, transparency's there. You can't hide anything in single vote or single bill issues. You can't, because everything will be right there and open and everybody can read it. Who's going to sit down and read 1,600 pages unless you work for an organization where you pay people to read a certain amount of pages in the bill?
Between Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler, I would choose Donald Trump. Because Hitler has proven to do atrocious acts, and Donald Trump might do atrocious acts.
Oh, he will do atrocious acts if we don't.
Might in the future.
I thought you said you didn't know the future.
I mean, 37 felonies, or what is it, 37 or so
34.
felonies? No, he is an abuser, and he...
I agree with you that financial crimes are on the same level as mass genocide.
No, but he was rape and other,
I don't think he was found guilty of rape, though.
He was, okay, well, he was doing stuff to women.
It was a civil suit, and it was for sexual abuse, not rape.
But the thing is, you're trying to push me into a corner.
No, he's not.
I'm just asking you, Trump or Hitler?
I do not feel comfortable being pushed into a corner and being recorded online.
Well, now you know how I feel in Donald Trump's America. I'm being pushed into a corner all the time being a brown guy. And I'm an immigrant, so I'm really screwed.
That's why I'm here protesting.
Well, thank you so much.
I'm encouraging other people to protesting and inviting other people to protest.
We'll be there.
By the way, Adam Francisco's
MAGA.
Thank you. So don't let him
Wait, do I look better with or without the glasses?
It's whatever you want. What do you like more?
I don't know.
I like you both ways.
That doesn't help the dilemma.
Put them on again.
No good.
Put them on. Take them off. All right. So, Batty, what are we doing today?
We're at the St. Pete Youth Pride Festival.
Yeah, I have been watching those.
I love looking at the vendors and the colors and the free stuff. I love the free stuff. Gotta have the free stuff.
And what do you think about that first lady we just interviewed before we walked in?
Well, she complimented.
I've been watching them for the past month and a half because they started with Chicago and New York.
In my leggings, so I do have a soft spot for her because she did like my thigh highs.
Let me see the thigh highs. Always so fashionable, Batty.
But I mean, obviously, you had to pick Trump over Hitler.
Right? Wasn't that crazy?
Yeah.
She couldn't think of an answer.
Yeah.
All right, let's go inside. Let's have fun. All right, guys, so we are going to be getting our face painted and something rainbow themed for the event. I don't have the MAGA hat today. Today we're trying to stay a little bit more undercover. And so I'm going to get my full face or something close to that done here today. And I think it should look pretty good. So this is the before. And this is the after, guys. She did a phenomenal job. You want to shout out your business real quick?
Oh, yeah. Hi, I'm Ashley from Pineapple Dress Space Painting. Just give me a follow on Facebook, Instagram. I'm the lady with the pineapple dress, Space Painting. It's not just a clever name.
And guys, as you can see, she did fantastic work. So if you got a birthday party or an event and you want to face paint her, go hire her.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for letting me do your face.
Thank you. All right, so we are going to blend in a little bit better now that I have my rainbow face paint on. because today we're not doing the MAGA hat. Today we're just going to talk to people, have conversations.
You know what, guys?
And have a nice day here. A nice day, but we're still going to drop clues.
So we'll continue with this. There's only 2 videos left for that, so we'll continue with that on the next one. But anyway, I gotta go watch these Thanks Roots. I wonder how much I missed. Shit, it's been on for 3 hours already. All right. Well, I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day and you appreciated the content I provided for you today, along with my personal thoughts, which are my thoughts and my thoughts alone. And I should cover my face. The hell? Oh, my bad. So I'm not telling y'all how to think because, well, I would be a Democrat if I was telling you how to think, and you guys would be super liberal, brainwashed, you know. But besides that, I hope y'all enjoy the rest of the day. I'm just telling you to think. And I will see you tomorrow with some more content, which I pretty much have finished most of the ones I wanted to today. Like I said, we'll do the last 2 possibly tomorrow if I even want to get to them, depending on what happens later today and early tomorrow morning. So with that being said, I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. And remember, just remember that